Oh, first thing, meeting called to order. First thing, exciting. Bids for the Boylston Facilities Assessment.
Not that exciting, because I didn't get one.
So,
Yeah.
did you see that one of the moms from BES, her husband works for an architecture firm in Worcester. I can't think of the name of it, but his company actually took a look at it, and he said he couldn't find it online. You had forwarded it to me. I sent it to him. I think he might have gone back and then found it, but they ended up saying they were too busy.
Yeah.
That's how that's.
But I feel like a lot of these places, like he was saying, that what they're doing is they're actually busy doing actual projects, so there's probably not a lot of.
I think the best bet to get for something like this is probably in the January timeframe, starting of a new year.
When people
picking up
aren't busy.
Right. Picking up projects.
What's the process now, though? If you put it out to bid and you didn't get any bids, are we then free to, do we have to bid it again? Or
Yeah,
can
you have to bid it again.
How many days do we have left?
Oh, it's done today. Yesterday, right?
It was up Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's done. Nobody showed up for
So-
it. So I can either put it back out, but do it for a longer period of time. I always like doing it for a longer period of time because then people, it was rushed a little bit. You know, people want to look at it, come out, walk around the building, get an idea
Yeah.
of what they're getting into.
Where does the requirement, what threshold do we have to put things up to bid? How does that work from us, from a
It's a dollar amount,
So it's in the
anything
dollar.
over 50,000.
50? We were under 50 on this, right? We thought we were 35?
25,000. Sorry,
okay.
25,000.
That's why, okay.
Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So I think.
Yeah, so this was a RFP. There's different type of bids.
Yep.
So this one, 25,000.
And I think that was the confusion for this
Yeah.
other firm. I think they were thinking, like, we were like, hey, we need all this work done. And then
Right.
they go and they're like, oh, wait, you just need a study, and I don't want to. So that must not be as lucrative for these businesses as. So I get what you're saying, January, when they're not busy actually doing projects because the weather's bad.
Right.
They'd be
Right.
more apt to do a study.
Yeah.
Could you potentially break it so you're under that threshold so you don't have to put it out to bid?
Oh, that's a good idea.
We sometimes do that.
I'm just, here's the reason I.
You could, but I don't
know how you.
I don't know if anybody, I think you have
No, you just need 3.
less of a chance of it coming in
Just
that
less.
somebody actually bidding on it and wanting to do it. Because it's not a bid for just handing in the assessment.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
it's a lot of work to it. So the last one, I believe, was 30 or 35
For BMS.
for
Thousand.
BMS.
Yeah.
So I highly doubt you're going to get less for Boylston. We
Right.
could definitely give it a try.
No, I mean less in terms of like, do the assessment for this part of the building and it would be.
Oh, splitting the
15.
building up?
Yeah.
Oh. We could,
I mean,
Like the outside of the building versus the inside.
I'm
What
just
is that
thinking.
I don't
of-
know. If you,
So then you don't have to put it out to bid.
Yeah, I don't know if.
Then
going
you
up
would
to bid-
just- I know, I
That
know.
feels,
It's
yeah,
because we're,
yeah,
municipalities are running into the same issue that.
right.
well, because then the same firm could do both projects, but two
No,
separate bids for
Yeah.
15. I mean, that
I guess
might
my
be-
question is the number too low? Do we need to put a bigger number on it to get their interest? Are we not offering enough?
No, I think they're just
Just
busy.
busy.
I
The
think
number's
it's
right.
the time of year. I think they're just
Okay.
busy.
Well,
I really
Because they
think
could have
that's a
come back
part
to us
of
with a
it.
bid at over.
Oh,
the
yeah.
number, right? They could
Oh,
have come
yeah,
at
yeah.
70 if they want.
And I think if I think the best way to do it, we put a dollar cap.
Yeah,
Maybe we shouldn't put a dollar cap.
okay.
Yeah.
It, just because we go out for bid and say one comes back at 55, we don't
Yeah.
have to accept it.
Right.
You know,
We can always
so
negotiate
why
that bid
limit
too,
ourselves
right.
to a
Yeah,
dollar
smart.
cap, and then that might have discouraged people also.
yeah.
So what do you need from us to do that?
Well, if we want to rebid it without a dollar cap, it would have to go back to school committee because you approved it with, I believe it was 35.
35, yep.
So we'd have to go back. And it doesn't mean you're approving it. It
Right.
just says once, the bids come in, then,
Okay,
And we don't meet again until what, November 15th?
yeah.
Yeah. We can't vote at this subcommittee? Because I thought that.
To put it out to bid?
to put it out to bid.
She's
Without
recommending
the
against
dollar
because.
cap?
Yeah.
Oh, without it.
We're not gonna, we're not spending any money, right? We're just putting out.
We're
the
not
RFP.
spending, yeah.
Could you technically put the RFP out even without our approval? Just put an RFP out and see what comes back and then come to us with what
Yeah.
comes back?
Yeah, I could.
I would say just do that then. If you can
Do it.
If you can put it out to bid again
Because there's no dollar amount.
without a dollar amount, and we'll see what we get. And
Yeah.
then we'll have to go to full school committee at some point to
Then
get it
for
approved.
approval.
Yeah, if somebody comes
Right.
back and they said, we'll do it for 40, like, we can't, we're only authorized, what,
I think even at this point, we wouldn't even want
We
to approve
could-
it within this group.
Yeah, we'd have to
bring it
get the
school
committee, yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
I can do that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because we're not locking anything in. So absolutely.
No, we're just
Yeah.
trying to solicit,
More variety of people.
some people,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you
And then if
put
we
it
don't
on-
get anything
Somebody.
put out,
Good luck.
then if we
It's
don't get
tough
anything,
right
we'll put it
now.
out in January
Yeah.
again. When was the Berlin one put out?
I don't
That was
know.
last year.
Yeah.
The date on it was like April or May, the
What's the
report.
typical window for one of these to be open?
Oh, 30 to 60 days.
If we went to
Yeah.
60 days right now, you
Yeah.
give people to the middle of December to submit a bid for
Yeah.
a project we want to do in January. So I think we have school committee meeting in December.
Yeah. But then you're also running into the holiday season.
Yeah, but I'm ultimately like
Yeah.
if they give them 2 months from now,
Maybe they plan for January to do the work.
My gut says to do it like November, second week in November to mid-January.
for the bid.
Yeah.
timing. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, for the budget, I think we have a
We have
rough
some-
idea of what needs repair.
Yeah.
And you're only gonna get so much for the first year of 24 anyways. We know we need a roof, you know what I mean? So I don't think that's gonna hold us back in that regard.
So when it
So-
comes to capital budget items for Boylston,
Yeah.
do we want to then, we think roof and HVAC are likely
Yep.
in need of repair. While we're waiting for the full facilities
Right.
assessment to be conducted, can we get bids or quotes or whatever we need to be able to include those in the capital item for Boylston?
Well, we have rough, I already have that done. We already have that done.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
We have
so if
rough
we,
numbers.
so we can decide
All right.
as a school committee
Right.
whether we want to ask during
So our
the
hands
budget.
aren't tied on the assessment.
Got it.
Okay.
Because we have a general idea of the big items that we need,
Okay,
Great.
okay,
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Okay.
okay.
it stinks,
Sounds
but
good. Yeah.
So next thing I have on here is paraprofessional salary benchmarking. I've heard a lot of feedback from people about paraprofessional salaries, working conditions, comparisons to other districts. I guess like to get a little bit of a sense from this group. How do we think we compare to other districts when it comes to salary and benefits for paraprofessionals? Salary's a piece of it, right? But it seems to me like there might be other pieces to this too.
do they get benefits? 'Cause-
Yep. If
Oh,
they're
they do.
full-time,
Yeah.
if they work
If they're-
about 20 hours.
Okay.
Yep.
Most of them do.
And can
Yeah.
they go into the Massachusetts, the pension? They,
OBRA,
OBRA?
yes.
So they are?
Yeah, they're not
So-
under the Mass Teachers Retirement System.
Oh, they won't
They're
get the
under-
teachers?
Yeah, it's
But-
different.
So it's a different pension? that-
different,
So
yeah.
they'll still get like a state pension though?
OBRA, it's OBRA, yeah. It's through the state.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, so that's, just in itself, I know people go into the profession just for the pension.
yeah.
So at
It's not
least
a
that's
pension
popular.
though. It's more like it's similar to a 401.
Yeah, I know what
so
you
it's
mean,
not
the
exactly a
OBRA, yeah, so they
pension. Yeah.
they don't qualify for the teachers or like a state pension.
Right.
It's the OBRA is like a special,
Yeah,
retirement savings
right.
account
Exactly.
that
right.
you contribute to, but the school matches, right?
I don't believe so.
So
No.
that's nothing. yeah.
No,
The open, no.
no.
Okay. What are your thoughts on this topic?
I think we're right in the middle. I don't think we pay a high salary, but I don't think we're on the lower range.
Yeah.
We can up it. We do take that into consideration when we're hiring certain people and their skill set. So we do try to increase that to the higher end of the scale. It all, again, it depends on, if we want to increase that higher range, we can certainly do that. I mean, we can,
Yeah.
it's a matter of adding that to the budget.
I agree with
But I think if we're going to do that, I would just say we have to set the criteria for what we're going to give. I think part of this is we're looking at people coming in with different skill sets. So
Yeah.
what do we have to make sure we have to enable them to get that
Right.
the highest level of the scale?
And I think we
just-
also want to be fair to the other support groups. Because
Yeah.
you got your custodians, you
Right.
have your food services. I mean,
Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah.
They're
I
all
think- I think-
critical for the school
Right.
to run. Yep.
Like I know,
Yep.
yeah,
So if we increase there, increase the others as well.
But increase everything.
possibly.
Adam, what
I
is the
just wanna be
feedback you've been
fair.
getting? Because I have a theory on this, but
Yeah.
not about what they're saying, but go ahead.
So I'll give you one other thing I got today. So, someone here comments and says, low pay is only part of the problem. Our paras don't get paid time off, is one claim here.
It must not be full-time.
And the amount they put in, let's see, some are leaving to go to other districts because they are better taken care of in those districts. I don't know what that means. But taken care of, appreciated, fairly compensated for the amount of work they do on a daily basis. This is one person, right? I'll acknowledge that, but
Yeah,
I don't know how
Yeah.
widespread this opinion is across them. I don't know who the person is, which is an anonymous message.
And that's very subjective.
Absolutely.
So, what is the concrete reasons? If we're paying lower than other districts, I think we should look at that. But if it's a sense that somebody feels about how they're treated, I also think that has to be part of a discussion they have with their supervisors. They have special educators they work with. They have team chairs that they work with. We're certainly not trying to treat anyone poorly,
Right.
but we have to look at both sides of the picture with it also. So, one of my thoughts around why we're lacking paras, and we're not the only district
Right.
that is, folks who can get teaching positions, typically paras come in and they have teaching licenses. They're usually newer teachers who haven't been able to get a position yet, or they're looking for job experience. They're able to get jobs now because the shortage is there.
Right.
So many people are getting hired for teaching positions that there's a lack in the para world, and it's a challenging position in some cases. So you have to want to do that type of work and be
Right.
called to it, I think.
So has that job description changed then, since now, like you had said, usually that they do have a teacher's license?
They don't have to, though.
Right.
But if you want to get into a school district, historically, that's one wonderful path to take.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, subbing is another way. So we have shortages of subs too, right? So because people are being scooped up for actual positions. So we're
Okay.
grateful for every sub that we can get in, especially the long-term subs. But
It looks like across, and Carol sent me a note forward, org charts for the 3 schools.
I have them.
You do? That'd be great.
Yeah, I have
So
them.
we have 39 paraprofessionals across the 3 schools, it looks like.
The only thing we didn't get to do, Adam, is
That's
break
okay.
that number down into how many are one-to-ones and how many are.
right.
But that
Because
changes.
BES has a lot of
Yeah,
one-to-ones for the
depending on-
bridges, yeah.
I mean, this was incredibly helpful, and I have the digital one, feel free to share it with them.
Yeah.
It's interesting to look at this, right, and look at, let's say, BMS versus BES, and as you mentioned, BES doesn't have that office recess assistant, but BMS does
Yep.
have an office and recess assistant aide, right? So there's inequity, next favorite word, between those 2 schools
Yeah.
in terms of just the staffing when it comes to something like that.
Right. And with the BES, like the paras, there's 14 of those, 10 in BMS, well, they're smaller, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And what do we have? Where's the Tohoto has 15, but you would
Right.
think the Tohoto would have more,
Right.
right? Because
Well, I
they're
feel
bigger,
like, but older kids, that probably takes, like, in the elementary level, kindergartners and first graders, like, that one-to-one is, like, all, I mean, I would guess there's less one-to-ones at Tohoto.
Actually,
I mean, I could be wrong in my thinking of that. I just
I'm
feel
not
like
sure.
the smaller the kid, when they're helping with toileting, when they're helping with feeding, versus.
You also have 2 guidance counselors at Tohoto and none of those at
That's right.
the elementary schools, right? So you can almost, in terms of like support personnel,
right.
you have people to help with things that, the different challenges, right? I mean, different challenges in the,
Different
at the
challenges,
Tohoto level.
absolutely.
At different schools.
And in Tohoto, we also take in the preschool number here.
Right, but does the preschool have any paras at Tohoto?
They do if they have needs, so they
If
do
there's a
right
need,
now.
yeah.
Yes, yeah. But you're right, there's different needs at the different schools, so.
Yeah, I don't know. BES, I think, has 3 third-grade teachers.
One day, one night.
That one threw me off. I thought they were, I thought we might be
night,
off on that
3
number
to
because I had
10,
seen
I
somewhere else.
It's Reed, Barry, and
Third
Lewis.
BMS is just all.
The org chart says
First
2, but I
page.
think
Only one?
there's 3.
So we need BMS.
BES.
BES, first page, Luke.
No, there's two.
Adam and I are two ingrained. But Lewis, Reed, Barry.
Yeah,
They share one nighttime.
But two and
Yes.
second, two and
There's
fourth is
one
what I've
during
seen.
the day.
That is absolutely true. It's
Yeah.
Inwood and Avery in fourth, Donald and
Contracted
Rainsford in second,
So that's probably
Gosher,
why she didn't
Kelleher.
count for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
perfect.
otherwise.
Yeah, you're right.
This is awesome, Carol.
Yeah, this is very
Thanks to
good.
Brenda. She worked very hard on this.
I mean,
Great.
like I
Well,
said,
yeah, it's
right
hard.
off the top for me, you can clearly see, just looking at them side by side, where there's a gap in one place
Yeah.
versus the other.
Yeah.
Both of a nurse.
Can I ask a
mean,
question
that
about
is
the-
technically
The record,
under
we both have a
paras too.
They all have nurses now.
That's good.
Can I ask about that office recess aid, BMS, and then BES?
Yeah.
Because
We don't have one of those.
No, but does BES, their office has one individual there or
Yeah.
two?
One.
Okay, one.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
she's more like three, though, if you.
BMS has had this office recess aid way before I was even there. They used to
Okay.
take a recess break at 10 a.m. and everybody went outside, or they, so they had that person there, and then they just stayed on and did any kind of copying. Then they did lunch recess. So they've always had that position.
They did two recesses?
Yeah.
Oh. I love it.
I like that too.
So the whole school went out at 10.
Yeah.
That's a question.
Brilliant.
Another question is, looking at, on the teacher side, or a little off topic, we'll call it still paraprofessional section of our agenda. BES, .4 on the music teacher. BMS, .6.
Should be B.
Is it just backwards?
Backwards,
Okay.
yeah. These are good catches because I looked at this.
We're
many
so
times.
ingrained in the schools.
BES.
The mental half and half.
That,
Yeah,
I mean,
but
at
me
least
too.
the,
Yeah,
Yeah.
0.6 B. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm also wondering about the,
The art teachers.
also media specialist. I don't think she's full anymore.
That's right.
That's the librarian.
Well, I think they call her media
She's
specialist.
.6, yeah.
Yeah, they dropped that, her .6.
So, but at BMS, there's a full-time librarian.
.4. No,
No.
no.
She does 2 days a week, right?
she's
So
0.4.
that's .4 too.
But she's not the same person.
No, it's a different person.
okay.
There's two people, and I think BES one would like to be full.
Wouldn't everybody?
Is the media your librarian?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's 0.4 too.
No, she's .6.
0.6.
She's Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
.4 at BMS.
.4 at BMS.
Yep.
So there's two separate technology teachers.
There's one, and it's Megan.
So then it should be .5, right, on BMS and .5 on BES?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm wondering too about the specials as the school grows. I mean, this is definitely not something for the district improvement plan, but in like,
I think it is something that should be.
well, in 3 years, I mean, this is not an immediate need, but like, I'm wondering,
For how long can we continue splitting those people up?
yeah.
Splitting them, right.
Well, it's a hard, and we have a lot of legacy people in here that have been doing the role, but I would imagine, it's really tough to find somebody that just wants a part-time, because like you said,
Yeah.
you'll get some benefits, but you're probably not on the pension, right? I don't know.
You need 1,040 hours if you're not under
Yeah, so some of these
teachers.
roles might be really tough to fill.
The,
We were hoping at one point to have the health, considering
Okay,
anyway,
well,
that the
that-
health teacher or the health role could be added to that person who's doing phys ed, because they
Right.
typically
Yeah.
have that certification.
Yep.
But I think I'm finding now that it almost has to be two separate people because they wouldn't be able to cover all of the classes as we're increasing the need for just a PE teacher, for
would there be
example.
a benefit to having one person, rather than one PE teacher that splits between the two people that are both health and PE, but stay in one building?
That's what I'm talking
Okay.
about, right, but we'd have to look at whether we're even able to cover those classes for
Yep.
that health education if we have a full-time
Yep.
PE health
Is
teacher.
it typical for an elementary school to have a health teacher?
Yeah, we should have one,
And we don't.
right, we've been pushing that
And
off.
PE is only .6. It's two separate people.
Yeah.
BES PE teacher is different than BMS.
BMS.
PE. So it's two people that work part-time.
Right.
So over the next 3 years, we don't necessarily see enrollment growing so rapidly that we're going to have to add additional people on top of this. So I look at that health teacher, which I know is pushed out right now to like year 2 or 3 of the plan. Why don't we pull it up and do it earlier? Because if we're thinking that health teacher is something we need and we're lacking,
But you could even take the PE .6 teacher, and I don't know if the person is correct, but I'm just saying the role, like Carol was saying, could
saying
be PE
budgetarily,
/
though.
health.
But-
Yeah, so budgetarily, instead of PE, it would be PE / health 1 instead of
I'm
.6.
saying right now, that's budgeted for like 2 or 3 years from now. and
Yeah.
then-
Oh, you
And
wanna
I
do-
think we did
do we
move
wanna
it
do
up
it
to
soon?
year 2. I'll
Maybe.
go back and look at that.
But Carol's saying there wouldn't be enough. You'd need 2 adults because the 1 adult wouldn't be able to fulfill all.
One at the
Oh, you
EMS, one
need
at the
2
ES.
separate people for gym and PE and health.
Probably.
Per building.
Per building, probably.
building. To
So
fit
it's
them
2
all
lines.
in.
Or,
With the,
or we have that
Oh.
health teacher split between the 2 schools.
The
and they
health
only
would be
cover health.
split.
That might be,
Because they
okay.
need to do
That
3
might be-
days a
So
week.
the health
Just
teacher
like a-
for the gym
Yeah.
teachers become full-time in each spot.
perhaps,
Yeah.
right, if we're adding classes.
Well, the
on, yeah.
gym, you could, because it's .6 and .4.
Right. Unless you,
You could have
unless
one
we make
person
the
do.
health teacher
full-time and split the
a
gym.
specialist, but then you're adding another special to the day for the students, and you're taking away content area time. I love,
Yeah.
and I think it's important that we have art, music, and phys ed, very much so, but that's another prep, as a contractual piece, there's a lot of layers to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do we need a health teacher? Yeah, we do. We've been waiting so we were holding off for years because the frameworks are still 1999 frameworks
For health.
for health. And so we thought,
Oh my
well,
God.
every year have been told, we're working on it. Most recently, we're really still working on it.
Ah,
It's so outdated if you have a chance to look at it. So we thought, well, we'll wait. It's not a priority.
Yeah.
We'll get somebody
Yeah.
because somebody has to train with the new frameworks, right?
right.
So
Right.
we've just been pushing it off until now.
Interesting.
Yeah. But
Is it out now or it's still not out?
Still not out.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
would health be,
Listen.
like, would a kindergarten, would K1 and 2 need health, or could you do, like, would it just be 3, 4, and 5, or how, is
Yeah,
health
no,
gonna
there's-
be
There'll
the
be
full?
frameworks for the K1
But the
and 2
framework
always.
hasn't come out, so the state hasn't issued.
Correct.
When do we think that might
So
come?
do we bring somebody
Okay.
2000?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see actually where they are with that. But we do need, we do.
So my
need
opinion
help.
on everything budgetary.
Health is important.
When it comes to the district improvement plan is that if there are, and this is to, Mike's made some good points about, hey, don't just get to a arbitrary funding figure. Let's figure out what we need in the buildings and pay for that.
Mhm.
But I think one of the things that we're lacking by being below the state median at BES, for example, is a health teacher, right? So when we think about telling the story as to why we want to increase the budget by X% to this number, is because, hey, we don't have a health teacher,
Yeah.
but Shrewsbury does, and Hopkinton does, and other nearby districts we're comparing ourselves to do.
Right.
That's what I think is
Yeah, I think it's
will be
important.
helpful for us to understand, like, the bottom line dollar figure is one thing, but, I look at this, math tutor 0.7, math coach 0.5, like, are we understaffed in some of those roles compared to nearby districts? And should we be trying to, what do they offer that we're not?
To make them full-time
Make them
positions.
Whatever we need to do to offer the students in Boylston and Berlin the same programming opportunities and support
Yeah.
they need in nearby towns.
I think we're very fortunate that the tutors we have now for math and ELA that work with the coaches are full-time
Yep.
individuals. So that's a good thing, at least we have them. But in the past, we haven't. We've had them 0.5, so that's been important.
Okay.
Yeah, we can look at a couple of different configurations about
Yeah.
the health teacher and what that would look for the coming year. I can move that over, and that's a discussion we can have too. when
Well, I
we-
think
we visit
budgetarily
the
for me,
plan.
right, I think that spreading things out over 3 years makes sense if the needs are going to change over 3 years. But if the needs exist now, I would rather just put everything in now. And then if finance committee, select board asks us to move something up to year 2 or 3 because they know there's a revenue stream coming in, then we can negotiate that with them. But I would rather say, hey, we're understaffed in these specific areas compared to where we should be, compared to nearby towns. Let's put it all in there for now. And if we have to pull back on something, we'll pull back on it based on the budget feedback we get. But I guess I think we're headed towards asking the town to approve our budget in Boylston.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll look at those figures and
That's
where we
great.
would divide up that position or.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay.
Awesome.
Spend. I think it's just always spend.
What is, I don't know, what is the decision on the paras?
So I guess given what we looked at, the bottom line budget for Paris is about $1 million, right? We said last meeting, whatever it was. It was one of the
Yeah, I believe that's right.
Yeah, you said that, yeah.
And so I
was
think-
high nine.
I think
You just
making
looked on your
making
computer.
just a salary change now, to me, would be difficult budgetarily with the current budget. Unless we're gonna pull it from school choice funds or something, right?
Correct. It would be very difficult now because it's not budgeted.
Right.
No, yeah, for this year.
Yeah.
I think we'd be open to, if there was some kind of stipend you wanted to suggest for paras, retention bonus, whatever it is you might want to offer them that's not a straight up raise. Because I think the raise we can put into next year's budget. But I would look at next year's budget, should have something close to a 10% increase on those support staff people, given inflation and given.
All
All the
support
support
staff.
staff. So what are the support staff? Define that.
We
The
don't even
paras, the
have,
custodial,
we don't even have that many though.
food.
Food service.
I mean, I don't know, it's hard,
Support.
I know.
Nancy's like, everyone, guys,
But if it's a-
Great.
But if it's a million, let's say it's a $2 million budget item.
We didn't get to the above level service request
Oh, yeah,
yet.
let's get to
I'm
that
just
first.
saying, you need to look at that. Just saying.
They will be getting 3% though, right?
Yeah.
this year?
So,
With along
Who
with
are
Okay.
the
support
staff.
staff?
so a couple things I just
I mean,
want to point out.
3%
'Cause
isn't
you
even
mentioned how they
inflation,
don't
yeah.
have days off, right? I
Right.
kind of wanted to
like to
circle on
understand
that.
that, yes.
So they are based upon the 180 days.
Okay.
So it's 180 work days during the school year, and they get 3 personal days.
Okay.
So that's how generally paras work.
Yep.
They generally don't get vacation time. That's just they
Yeah,
get the, they
it's the
get
nature of the role.
Vacations, exactly.
But
Right,
if
vacation,
if
but
they're
not vacation
full-time,
days.
they don't get vacation time?
No, they work 180 days.
They work,
Like the
that's,
teachers.
Like a teacher.
Yes.
There's no
Right, it's
personal
like a
days or-
teacher.
gotcha.
Not
Yes.
full-time.
Gotcha,
Yes.
personal, yeah, they
You
don't
get
get
vacation,
weeks
they get
vacation, they get
vacation,
summer.
personal
And are they
days.
paid through the summer?
Well, they can choose to be.
Yeah,
that
so
there's
but they
two-
get
right,
the
it
full-time-
depends how they
alright.
choose to spread out
Yeah,
their pay.
got it. Okay.
There's 2 options. Yes. Yep.
So some of them that are full-time must be salaried then?
It depends which payment option they choose. Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, so it's complicated. Mm-hmm. It's not like a
It's the
cut,
answer for everything.
well, it's just not like a cut and dry, like you get
Welcome to our
$20 an
world,
hour. It's,
No, they 180 days.
So, I mean,
yeah, but you
they're
get-
paid a total of 188 days, which consist of 4 professional development days, 5 holidays, 4 early release days.
Okay.
Just in 180 school days.
Yep.
And same thing for the cafeteria. Custodians are paid 261 days.
They're there all, they work all
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, so the support staff consist of paraprofessionals, cafeteria, custodians, and our secretaries, administrative assistants in each school, and our guidance administrative
Tahanto.
assistant. That's what consists of our support staff.
Okay.
I still don't know if we're not within the range of what we should be though for paras. I
I don't think we're low.
I don't think
I
we're-
don't.
We're not
don't.
low. No, I don't think so.
Unless,
No,
unless
for
someone
the
comes
other
to us with
ones.
data proving that we are, I don't believe we're
That's,
low.
that's what I want to
And-
know more
Right,
about.
I would like to
before
have
we-
more time to
Yeah, to
to look
explore
into.
that if
Yeah, yeah.
And also, I thought that we are now fully staffed on paras at all the schools.
Yeah.
Well, we were, and now we're not.
Did
Yeah.
somebody leave?
You just
Well,
told me.
yes, I know, but
And
then
that's
there was
very
one right
common.
after we met, and then there was.
Yeah, it's common.
And-
another
but
one.
it's
They
it's
come-
that
they
that
come
role
along.
is yeah.
Right.
Right.
So I mean, I guess a little off topic. I feel like some part of this problem too is at least maybe at BES is I think now we've got a principal in place and she's might be a little bit stronger at hiring the right people for the building. So I'm hoping, maybe we need to let this shake out a little bit, at least at BES. And I don't know where the other losses are, if they were at the other schools.
Yeah, Tahanto had one then that came up recently.
And I mean, again, Tahanto's kind of, I feel like a huge part, at least for some of these roles, must have to be, you were saying environment, it's who you're working with. So it's kids and parents, but it's also the other people in the building and who your boss is. So I feel like if we get that right, then the rest should kind of Well, we did,
So,
but we got to make sure it's right
It all
in all the
flows down from there.
buildings.
But that's
and it has
every-
to,
but
and
that's with everybody. I mean,
yes, it's with
you have
every
to-
role. So, you know, and like when you have the right teachers in place, and those parents are going to be like, oh, this teacher, I love being in this building. I'm
Right.
going to stay here.
Makes a big difference.
And that's what it is. I think it's about finding good people at the end of the day.
It's culture and climate, and I think
It's culture and
giving
climate.
us a better, we need a better way
Yes.
to understand it.
I
And
know you
think-
talked about that for even doing the
Yes.
survey,
Yeah.
and,
Because we
Talk
don't.
about that too
Yes,
later.
and we
I wanna-
have to rely on you or our experiences as parents, and thankfully we represent the two elementary schools, and we have, you know,
Into Hondo.
and I'm going to say, yeah, Tohoto. But I know
She's
you
got
know
older
so much
kids.
about BMS. Mike has BMS, Laurie has Tohoto. So, I mean, this committee, we could see it from the parent perspective, but we lack that perspective of the teachers and the principal. And so, I mean, we need more insight into that.
Right.
But I think that's a huge part of it. It's not just, you know, isn't $1 an hour or $2 an hour going to sway someone's decision? I feel like a lot of people that take the para role are
Not
moms that want.
necessarily, because you can also put them in a different step. I mean, you have some flexibility as to
yeah,
what you
so
bring
yeah,
them
there's
in
a
at.
range. It's not-
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
There's a 10-step range.
Yeah.
And that step is based upon a number of factors, but you have some qualitative ability to decide where they come in.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, years of experience maybe that they've had in this role coming in.
Yeah.
Their work in other schools, for example. Perhaps they're coming in from other organizations
Yeah.
like NEC, where they, Center for Children, where they want
Yeah.
to come in and do this work, or other types of.
So does
resources.
that table there, Nancy, that's in that
Mm-hmm.
current agreement, does that have a built-in 3% increase going into next?
So
year?
how the tables work is this, next year's will go off of what the teachers get. So the teachers are built in for 3%, so they would get 3%.
Got it.
So anyone who's on a grid,
Oh.
their increase will match what the teachers
Okay.
get. That's how it's historically worked.
And do they move
So-
a step every year automatically? Is it
Yep.
a seniority
So if
thing?
you're on
Yeah.
a
Oh,
5,
yeah.
you'll be on a 6 next year.
And it caps out at what step?
Step 10.
And do we offer
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Is there any accelerator for degrees or education?
Not based off of this,
Not
no.
ours, okay.
There is long, they do
But
get
we look at that
longevity,
when we're
starting
hiring
at 10
as
years of
well, so,
service.
Yeah, as far as putting them on a particular
Yeah.
step.
So that's the other thing I was going to bring up too. So let's say you have somebody that's really good. They've been a para. They've been in the district for 10 plus years. They are getting no raise.
Well, they
every-
are, they're getting their 3% when the
3%.
table
2 or
changes.
3%.
They just get their 3%, but they have no option.
It's really just a COLA
Do
thing.
they have longevity,
So they're moving,
Nancy?
yes,
Yeah,
starting
I
at
thought
10
so.
years.
Okay,
So
so
they're
there you go.
moving up a step, and that step has an increase of 3%. So it actually ends up being a little more than 3% if you think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get
Yeah.
what you're
But
saying.
are you
Yep.
able to speak to that at this point, the longevity that they get after the 10 years?
Yep,
Like, do you
so
have that
they get
information? I think that's
10 years.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
10 years of service, and they have to be at least at a step 10, they get $500. 15 years of service, they get $700, and 20 years of service, they get
It's a
$900
one-time thing at those?
every year.
Every year.
From once
Oh,
they,
okay.
starting at year
They get
10.
500 year 11, 12?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Plus the
Okay.
3% or whatever the teacher's
Yeah.
percent.
Plus the
Right,
number goes
right.
up.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so that's,
I understand it at least.
And then health insurance if they work 20 or more hours.
So these people are getting a raise year over year.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Yep.
yeah.
So again, I
It's the
don't
same as teachers'
know if it's the salary.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
As much as, yeah, the culture.
I want
Or
to,
maybe-
I guess I
Ding,
want
ding, ding.
to, I want to keep our eye on
Okay,
this.
that's great, yep.
Sure.
Keep paying attention to it,
Yep.
and keep listening to it. Because I think it's something that, there's been a lot of discussion in the community about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good call.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Legal counsel. Nancy, I was going to do some work to help us
Yeah,
understand.
so in
how
your
much we call lawyer
packets,
now.
there's a page where I kind of just did a brief compare some of the lawyers in the times that I was told. You'll see the top says 3 to 5 hours weekly email calls work for the
Got it.
district.
Okay.
So I spoke with the people who call the lawyer. So on average, we call our lawyer 3 to 5 hours a week.
right.
Okay.
So I priced it out of what we currently pay versus what we're being quoted by Merrick O'Connell for $235 an hour. So for the 3 hours a week, and I did it yearly. So through our current lawyer, it would be $36,000. With the new one, $34,545. And then as you go up, it changes.
Yep.
So the 4 hours, our current lawyer is $36. the new one would be 46,000, and 5 hours a week, current lawyer 36,000, and the new one would be 57,575.
Probably safe to assume that if we're saying it's 3 to 5 hours a week, it's probably 4
Probably.
on average, right?
The other thing I just wanted to point out was, one, we do not have an HR director.
Yep.
So we definitely take advantage of calling the lawyer because
Sure.
we want to protect the school district.
Oh, yeah.
Two, this does not include hours that are used for negotiations with teachers or anything else that might arise. This is just daily calls.
Yep.
And right now, in our budget for fiscal year '23, where we are right now, we have 36,000 budgeted for legal.
Okay.
And this does not have anything to do with special education. This
Right,
is
that's
purely
separate.
the general budget. Yep.
Okay. All right, let me ask a question. Not having an HR director, is that uncommon in schools?
I've seen it done both ways.
Okay,
Um,
it's more advantageous
See-
to have one.
well, you are not calling the lawyer as much.
Right.
But you
know,
also-
it's,
It's going to be based on number of employees too, to an extent as to at what point you need one, right?
But even if you,
Wait a minute, stick with the HR thing.
I mean, my last place, the HR director was shared between the town
Yeah.
and the school.
We
So
had
that's
that
common
in
a
a
lot,
while.
I mean, we
yeah.
were talking about that for a
for
while, and I
regional.
don't know what happened with that idea.
Sharing it
That
with
idea was
Boylston?
being floated. Boylston, Berlin was.
Right,
I-
yeah.
at one-
Oh, we
this
have
was a
one
couple of
HR
years
director
ago.
for all three.
Because a lot of times, just the school itself is not large enough. So if you share it with the town, and then you're also sharing expenses. So you're not taking the full burden of the salary, you're sharing that with the
There
town.
was a conversation when we first regionalized, but I don't know where that went with that idea.
Yeah.
It wasn't part of that discussion.
Okay.
But it would be advantageous because we have a lot of concerns and questions that we have to spend time exploring, researching,
Okay.
speaking to the attorney.
Well, and HR is a very commonly outsourced function in the business world, right? If you don't have enough people in a small business, but you need HR consultation, it's very common to have an HR consultant who might do a couple hours a month or a year for a company helping to write a contract or write an offer letter, whatever those things are. I mean, I know in my company, I end up paying my lawyer a lot of money an hour to do some of that stuff.
That's the
Big-
point,
Are they
right.
on call though, Adam? Would they be somebody who's on call?
I think you can look at, there are firms out there, there are a lot of HR outsourcing firms that I know exist out there, so I think that's an option. But that might be more or less expensive than what we're suggesting here, which could be maybe partnering again.
Yeah.
We're trying to partner with the town.
With
With the town.
If the towns are feeling the need to have that role, I don't know.
I think it's
I don't
worth
know where
exploring.
that. Yeah.
I
We
can
have
check
no
in with
idea.
Barbara.
I'll check with Boylston, you check with
Yeah.
Boylston. let's
Yep,
see
and then
what
we'll
let's
come
see
back
what
to
the-
you.
because Boylston does not have one.
We don't either.
But even if
And
we,
it's needed.
it probably is. But
Of course.
even if we,
Okay.
so instead of hiring, I'm looking at this. This is in a year, right? 49 weeks, 245 hours. So even if you spent 5 hours a week, as we, that would be the max. You're still, it's only $57,000. I got to imagine the head count for an HR director would be significantly.
But I wouldn't expect that 20,000 is all gonna be, I think we're still looking at, even with an HR director, if we switch to Myrick O'Connell, a cost that's at or above our existing.
It's definitely going to be more
contract.
expensive switching to Myrick O'Connell.
Right.
There's no doubt. I don't think that
But
was
to
debated.
what point we're talking about maybe a $10,000 to $20,000 a year increase.
Yeah.
On the budget
It looks
line.
like 10,000. Yeah, but
Right. I would look at this and say if we move to Myrick, we need to also then adjust the budget up to 50 from the 36
For next year.
for the current year.
we can't
Well, you
change the
can't
budget.
change the current budget.
We can,
She just said that. No, we can't.
why can't we pull money from school choice to cover additional legal expenses?
Well, you don't change your budget, you just approve additional funds to be spent out of
Right.
school choice.
So, I mean, if we were to make this move January 1st, right? We'd expect that for the second half of the year, we may then be faced with a higher monthly bill if we're at 4 hours to the tune of maybe $10,000, $10,000 more above the 36 that we've budgeted.
And if it's half a year, you're not. It's not
It'd be
Right.
$5,000. So do we have the cash to do that? I guess is the question at the end of the day.
Yeah.
In school choice, yeah. So what we
If
could
the
do,
committee
if you
voted
want
that,
to
yeah.
bring this to the committee, I could also bring a forecasted school choice. So they could see where we
See.
Yeah,
stand.
but school choice,
you know,
you've got
and, yeah.
600 grand
Yeah.
at BMS and couple hundred
Yeah.
grand at BES and a bunch at Tohoto. We're not talking about a big.
No, this isn't gonna cost us a lot to do it, at
But
least.
keep
for-
in mind that we have a lot of requests going into this new budget too.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, so.
Maybe we should look
This
at
new
numbers.
budget might knock
Yep.
people over.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think, well, let's go to the next item, which is
Yeah.
kind of, the discussion here is around, well, there's an expense component to moving to a different law firm. There's also a reasons for moving to a different law firm piece of this as well. So I think, hey Jeff. Good morning. There's two pieces for us to consider there, right, when it comes to making this decision, not just the financial piece of it. Making the decision has a financial ramification,
Yep,
right?
yeah, that's the only part that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep,
So we had received, as I put it in the, Nancy, you have the Myrick proposal right there, what they had
I
sent us,
do,
the
yes,
235.
yep.
Right, we had like a screen on that wall,
Yeah,
put things up on it.
That would be great.
Technology, Carol.
The proposal.
Yeah. So we talked to three, well, I reached out to 5 different attorneys, and 3 of them initially sent back interest letters as to wanting to be part of it, but then we began to talk to Myrick more directly, specifically around negotiating the contract for Carol. I think we talked at a meeting, we were in your office 2 or 3 months ago, right?
Yeah.
About this. And kind of, I think, came to a consensus in that meeting that of the 3 we had in front of us, Myrick was the one that we felt strongest about. But we also wanted there were potential conflicts included in that too, given that they also represent the town of Boylston.
Yes.
And so we have to acknowledge that and realize there could come a time where we have to deal with the fact that we end up in some kind of snafu with the town. We'd have to look at outside counsel in order to
Or we go to the
Cover
special
that.
ed council,
potentially, right?
which I think we said was the most expensive.
Now you've commented, had experience with Myrick in the past.
It used to be who we had here
Okay.
before we had Dupre,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
years ago, when I was principal in Berlin, yeah.
And spoke relatively highly of
Oh,
their-
yeah, oh, yeah.
do you know why they changed over to?
I think the previous superintendent had experience with Russ's firm, with the family firm out in Western Mass, and the cost was reasonable, and she felt that there was good, solid representation from those individuals to work for us, so,
Got it.
yeah, so that's why,
Okay.
cost and
So
reputation.
I look at this and my suggestion would be that we would make a change as of like January 1st.
Yeah.
For this a certain level of comfort with the existing council. There's no, even if that contract with Russ right now, we're
It's a month
locked in
out.
already through the end of November.
yeah, yep.
So if we were to decide at the school committee meeting in November to move to a new firm, it would be a January 1st. Russ is at that point going to be through December 31st anyway.
To my knowledge, that's what I believe, yes.
So it.
So you'd already have paid, they would have already paid,
You prepay a month.
We've already-
prepay a
paid
month
November.
ahead, so you've already paid December, so
Right.
we'd be done after that vote.
Right. So at this point, we've already paid in November. Well, we're committed to November.
Correct.
Even the school committee voted today to.
Yeah, we're
terminate-
committed to November.
do
January
one more
1st
month.
is doable.
Do January 1st. So the motion on the agenda would be to terminate the existing contract and move to the new contract, and I would say that motion would be to do so effective January 1st. Now, we're not making that decision. We were potentially just making a recommendation to the school committee
Yep.
to decide at our meeting in November.
Do you think that's going to be acceptable to Russ's firm to do another extension without a contract for another month?
They never have, right?
Maybe
I
that's
think
a-
we should have a conversation with Russ.
Okay.
I think that's fair.
Yep.
I think that
Okay.
the school district's dealt with him. for,
Yeah, it's
you
been
know,
such a
I
long
think
time.
it's- yeah.
That's a really good point.
Because
We
I don't know
want
if he has
bad
any
blood.
idea,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I think that maybe that if we should at least let him know that this is what's happening, it's going to go for a vote.
Yep.
And then we could find out his feelings on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would probably be the right way
I
to
mean,
go
he's under
about it.
contract with us right now through November 30th, no matter what, as of today.
It's the way I read it, it's a month to month contract.
Right.
Is the way I read it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And then
I haven't
come,
seen that.
Yeah.
come November, at that school committee meeting,
Yeah.
we're already committed to him that firm through the end of December.
Right.
Because if we terminated it, then it would be a 30-day.
Yes,
thing.
we would be. I just wanted
Right.
to make sure
Yeah.
that he would, I don't know the contract, so
Right.
that's what I was
I'm
asking
reading it
about
right
that.
now. I have it up right now.
From a budgetary standpoint, the budget impact of switching January 1st to the current year budget
Yes.
is probably $5,000 to $10,000.
It's definitely, my guess is it will go over. Yeah,
Over 36.
yes.
Right. So
Yes.
we will end
Over.
up in a situation.
So with that
46.
approval, it'll have to be, if you want to take the funds from school choice, taking the
Right.
additional funds so we don't go over budget.
And we can work that
from
into the
school choice.
agenda for November and get that worded correctly
Yes.
and in there
Yes.
correctly.
So it's actually 2 votes, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So if we look at this as a budget subcommittee, think about this budgetarily, the impacts, right, $5,000 to $10,000 on the current year budget
Yes.
in terms of the increase it would cost us.
Yes. Who would you like to reach out to, Russ?
No, from a budget standpoint, that would only be half the year.
Right, so I'm saying for the full year it would be 10.
Right,
If
that's
at
at
4 hours, it'd be
that's
10.
at 4 hours. I would err on the other side.
Think so? Okay.
I would
So-
go high, and then if we have to come down.
Right, so straight numbers, if we have 4 hours a week, it'd be 46
Plus, yeah.
compared to 36, which would be, for half a year, only a $5,000
Right.
difference. If we go high, Julie, right?
Right.
could be
Right.
much
And
as
this
10.
could be higher too. I don't know where you are with negotiations with the new superintendent.
Yeah, I think
so-
that'll only be a couple hours.
Okay, all right.
So I'm reading this contract right now. It says that the retainer would continue only until the end of the month. For example, if notice was given on September 10, 2022, the retainer would end on September 30, 2022.
Right, so a month.
So if we said November, we'd be done. If we voted in November, we could be December 1st.
I think there are,
But I'm not saying we do that. I'm just saying
Yeah.
we could even vote in December if,
we could also vote to hire Myra O'Connell at that point. They're an hourly contract. We're only going to pay them if we call
Yeah.
them.
So
and
we could
keep
have
Russ
multiple
on through
counsel.
the end of December
yes.
in that situation where they remain part of our, and there's, like I said, there's level of comfort in the current administration around working with us, having worked with us. There's a transition here.
Yes.
That'll, I think, internally have to happen, and I think that gives some time for some overlap and some opportunity for comfort.
I think the
Good,
best
yeah.
option is to explore the 3 towns HR.
I still think we need a different lawyer, though.
Well, we have to do that regardless, but I think
Right.
now this is just
Oh, I-
fixing this year, but for budget purposes,
Absolutely.
I think we have to get on that because budgets for all the towns are moving.
Yeah, yep. And I think if we can't get, if the towns are like, no, we're not doing this, because the towns might say, we don't need this. I don't know who does HR for the towns, is it town clerk? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, the town clerk has to.
It's-
do
or well,
it.
or
they
assistant
have
town
They use
clerk.
their attorneys
It's
too
probably the-
for issues.
Right, which is
They
not-
have, well, they have their own attorney,
You sure do, right?
right? And I think my understanding, at least in Boylston, is they like their attorney. I don't know how they feel about this attorney. And
Well, you would
obviously
need an attorney
Myrick,
regardless.
well, Myrick is their attorney, I think, right? But
Same firm.
I do think, either way, I think the HR thing aside, I think we have to talk to Russ.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
what are we gonna do
I
about
think
that?
Lori or Jeff or Carol can have that
Yeah, it's a
conversation.
school issue. It's not us.
Yeah, but we're making the decision, you don't,
We're not making a decision, no decision being made till November.
We're
We'll
just
put it on the agenda
recommending.
for school committee.
so that's what we're gonna let talk.
In this group
All
here,
right.
I'm saying we make a motion to recommend to the school committee that we terminate the existing contract.
All right.
with Dupere effective January 1st and hire Myrick O'Connell as our new counsel. That would just be a recommendation from this committee to the full school.
I'm in
committee
agreement.
To consider there, so.
I'm in agreement.
I'll make a
And
motion.
are you guys, how do you, like, just honest? I'd love to, I think I know your opinion, but I like, just
I am
honest,
new,
we're all just.
so I don't think.
No, but like, just
I-
seriously.
I
just
don't know
No
the-
judging.
Honestly,
Yeah,
I
just
have,
wanna-
I don't know
No
the
doubt
reason
about
why
that.
you want to
Like
change.
dollars and cents,
Yeah.
right.
So
And
I don't,
dollar, but
yeah,
I
I don't know.
Yep.
Dollar-wise, I'm very nervous.
Okay.
Yep.
That's my take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say I've had a great relationship with Russ. I've worked with him in this capacity and not the other individual, but I also had experience with Myrick, so I
mean, do
know
you-
that
Yeah.
they're
Do you think I was on the negotiation subcommittee, and I mean, honestly, I just felt, and I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if
Just a point
Myrick
of
is.
order here, let's make sure we don't pierce the veil of an executive session that might have happened in the school committee.
Yep,
We're not talking
I just
about that.
didn't feel like we got enough of his time. And that would be my reason for agreeing with the motion on the table too. I felt like we were working around his schedule, and it was very difficult. We would go weeks. And I mean, you know, now we have a contract that was just signed, easily could have been done over the summer.
Should have been signed. Early-
Should have been completed in July.
And we can debate whose responsibility that was, but at the end of the day, I want, we hire the attorneys to drive it a little bit on some of these
Yes,
things.
and be available when everybody else was available, and I felt like it was the opposite. It was, well, this is when he is available, so this is when everybody else has to be
I know
available.
Lori's experience so far talking to Myrick regarding the superintendent's contract has been very positive, and the what conversation I had with them just about their proposal, and again, Kim made a point, which I thought was a great idea, was an offer to, hey, come in and do like a 1-hour training session with the school committee on
Yeah.
legal stuff, so we understand a little more about what can we do, what can you do, who does what.
Yes, that would be
I
great.
appreciate that. She's also, the attorney who would be covering us for Myrick is a Boylston resident. And, you know, there's, from a travel standpoint, you know, Russ is in East Long Meadow versus being here in Boylston and popping up at a school committee meeting
Yeah.
is a 5-minute drive versus an hour and 20 minutes.
He never, he would
Right.
call.
The other thing I would say, and you're bringing up a point, is it's a smaller family firm versus
Yeah.
Myrick is large. So they have different people to handle.
And we had some questions regarding the superintendent's contract that weren't necessarily the specialty of Kim, and she was able to talk to someone else in the firm and come back to us with an answer. And
Very much.
Yeah, so as this district is changing and growing and, you know, blooming, we might need to step up to something a little bit bigger. And yeah, it's definitely gonna be more expensive, but I think it's an investment.
Right.
And at
I
the end of the
also-
day, the question is it worth it? And I think so.
Nancy, I think it's also will be important for perhaps us to put some kind of soft cap on the monthly hours at Myrick with them, so that if we start to hit above a number we want to be at, we have to have some kind of, I don't want you to get surprised with an invoice
Raise a red
that comes
flag
in
to
that's
Nancy.
20 hours
Yes.
all of a sudden that you weren't aware of because someone decided to call without, you know, being aware of that. But I think that let's talk
Yeah.
to Myrick about how they share their
Right.
time as they go through something with us. Keep us informed.
Due to different people calling, we
Right.
might have to depend on them to help
Exactly,
us with
because
They'll
that.
have
the
to
chair's going to
send-
call, the
yeah.
superintendent's going to call, the assistant's going to
Right,
call, you're
so
going to
it's
call.
too hard
people are gonna call.
internally to be like, did you?
And I don't- we don't
Yeah.
want you guys not to call. If you need to call.
Right.
That's-
Right,
Right.
but keep it in. okay.
Budget should be like between 15 and 17 hours a month. So
You're 15 to 20.
15 to 20. I mean, that's going to put you way over the 200 hours, but you're probably not calling that much in June and July.
Right.
Well,
No,
the summer bit. You
disagree with that. Yeah.
Never mind. I remembered this summer.
Yeah.
Hopefully in a normal summer.
Yeah.
But we're talking, 3 to 5 hours
I think
week.
we're going lower now as
15 to
unless
20 a month.
Yeah.
things arise.
So I'd say, I would almost tell them if at any point we exceed 20 hours in a month.
20
they have
hours
to inform
needs to
you.
red flag you
Yeah.
because 20 hours.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
I think that's.
We're
yeah.
not on a long time.
No, and these
Right.
are 6
No.
minutes. With
Right.
Myrick, it's a 6-minute.
It's $4,700.
6 minutes is getting counted, not every hour. If you call, it's not like.
But
you
then
call
it
for
incurs
30.
the work that they do, right? So if they're going to write
They
a
do,
letter,
right, they do work after they get, but
take an hour.
Still 6
You know,
6 minutes.
That was my question too, and then
Yeah.
emailing.
right.
If we have an email
reading the
to
email,
them.
I think they'll time.
They'll time it.
everything.
Oh, yeah. Anything, they start their
Yeah.
clock
Yeah.
anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Done.
Yeah.
But some firms start their clock and round up to half an hour, they're
Yes.
rounding up to 6 minutes. So
Yep.
Hmm.
Okay.
So if we cap it at 20, that's $4,700 versus $3,600 a month.
right, it's an extra 10, 15 grand a year.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so do we have a motion to recommend the termination of the existing contract with DuPerry Law Offices and the engagement of Myrick O'Connell effective January 1st?
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion on this motion? This is to recommend to the school committee at the next meeting in November. Okay, vote.
job.
Julie?
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
I'm an aye, so it passes unanimously. The motion is to recommend that the school committee terminate the existing contract and move to Myrick O'Connell effective January 1st. The recommendation be presented to the school committee at our next meeting in November. Okay. New business. So we had a conversation at the last school committee meeting about encumbered and unencumbered expenses and projections, and I think we just wanted to talk a little more about that and what it is. Awesome.
Okay. So you have a sheet.
Thank you.
and on the top it says GL categories not encumbered. So I put them in the same categories as how the budget will be presented. And then, for example, the first one that's presented to you is administration. So now you can see what's unencumbered and what falls under that. So, for example, in administration, items that are unencumbered are the school committee expenses, superintendent expenses, assistant superintendent expenses, the business office, HR expenses, and admin technology. So those are the categories that have not been encumbered.
Okay.
Yep.
So
And then-
expenses, sorry, can you just give an example? Like, is that like, I'm gonna go out to lunch today, or is that like,
No.
I have to do this project at this school and I need all this money to do this?
So,
I think expenses, I think corporate expenses.
no.
I'm taking
So,
this trip.
No entertainment
finance
line
office,
item.
copiers,
Entertainment
Meals and
line.
entertainment?
paper, office supplies.
Oh, it's all of that.
Travel.
Like for the conferences, the-
Part of MASBO, so memberships, stuff, anything that
is
is
that
in the
office
business
supplies for the
office.
whole, in this office or in all the
Finance
schools?
office. Finance office.
Just this office.
Just the finance office.
Gotcha.
If I need a new chair, it comes out, you know what I mean? It
Okay, so
comes
it's
out of there.
actual.
My computer.
It's all of, so it's
Yeah.
this office's expenses essentially?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yep. School committee expenses, your lawyer, your, stuff like that.
Gotcha. Oh, those are all not
yeah,
unencumbered
yeah.
expenses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have do you keep some kind of like projection on that to know that 1.6 million is going to cover all this stuff?
Yeah, that's.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's where the budget comes into play, right?
Okay.
So when the budget's developed, your budgeted line item, it shouldn't be going over that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And so and then what, like come close to the fiscal year end, you're just like, oh, wait, we're getting close to that 1.6 million. I'm not getting that new chair this year.
Right.
Okay.
But I can look at that now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can forecast. I
can look
kind
ahead,
of forecast it out on my own, but I don't encumber them.
Right.
Because maybe
Yeah.
I don't need that chair. You know,
Right.
maybe, but if,
But this category is necessities and non-necessities.
exactly.
So that's what makes it
Yes,
difficult.
It's a mix.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. It's not contracted, so it's not encumbered.
Gotcha.
Got
Pretty
it.
much items that are encumbered are contracted.
Okay.
Does that
Okay.
make sense?
And it's your responsibility, you being everyone in this building, to make sure we stay under that 1.6 at the end of the
Yes,
year.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Which is why sometimes there's a freeze, like around
Exactly.
January, February.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
You can't purchase anything.
Right.
Because that number's getting
We're
very
getting a
close.
little too close to that
Yeah.
number, so, yep,
The year end is June 30, right?
correct.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Okay. Any other questions on encumbered versus unencumbered?
All of these are unencumbered.
All of these are unencumbered, yep,
It's basically operating expenses.
Yeah.
yeah.
So no, it's huge.
So you, like, under, maintenance and operation, your custodial expenses, that's all your cleaning supplies, paper
Right.
towels, toilet paper, like everything.
Right.
So,
Photocopier, ink,
So there's a
paper.
budget for those
Yep.
things.
What are
there
your
is,
athletic?
there is.
What are your athletic expenses?
Buses.
Doesn't that come out of the fees?
Supplies.
But it's still budgeted. I mean,
You
it's still a
still-
budget. number.
Equipment.
Yep.
Even if there's revenue
Equipment.
paying for it, there's still a budget expense on the other
Yeah.
side of it.
Every sport has expenses related to it.
Plus do you
Track,
pay.
you gotta
Football.
pay to attend track meets. You have
Coaches. Yeah.
referees, officials working, game workers. You have
Got it.
coaches. Coaches aren't encumbered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it came from the fees that
Yeah.
are generated
Yeah.
from it.
Yeah.
So the fees are just supplementing because the expenses are
Right.
probably.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then one that's very easy to go over is your out-of-district tuitions.
Mm-hmm.
Because, anything with special education is really out of our hands. Because
Right.
things arise all the time. So those are always the categories are the most worrisome, like
So
for me.
for example, you got hit with a new out-of-district tuition next month.
Mhm.
You're gonna have to pull back on some of these other areas to cover
You
that?
can do it that way, or I would go to the committee and ask for some funds to be taken from school choice.
Okay.
Um,
Are there any
you know.
funds other than school choice where those things can be pulled from?
For like an out-of-district tuition?
Yeah.
Not really. Well, a grant, but most grants are already written and the
Okay.
funds are accounted for.
So the
Right.
school choice funds become our only free cash,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
that we have
Yep.
to use.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we can use it for, it's very open to what we can use it
Yeah.
for.
Are we missing revenue opportunities anywhere that other districts might have that we don't? Or is there, like, if you don't take school choice funds, for example, right? If you don't take school choice students, where do those districts get their,
That's why school choice is important.
right?
Yeah, that's where they primarily get it from, unless
Yeah.
they get funding from,
Yeah.
private companies. They could get something like that in the forms of a grant
Mhm.
for that. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Just be more than $5,000 a student.
it goes
Yeah.
back to looking at the
Yeah, it
grants
can be
and
looked at
approving
different
them.
ways,
We
you know?
get so little
Yeah.
money for our grants compared to some districts get millions.
Yeah.
Or at least hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that's how
Right.
they're able to put paraprofessionals in there,
Yeah.
even teaching positions in there or other positions
Yeah.
that cover that. We just don't get that.
Okay.
It's tough being an average, either you're like low income and
We're
you.
not average.
Well, we're right in the.
We're in the middle.
In that.
We're in the middle. We're not like a very high wealth town where we get a ton of money in tax dollars. Well, I mean, in Massachusetts, if you look at the towns, if you look at in Massachusetts, we're probably in the middle. And we're not a low district, so we're not getting, we
not
don't
getting all
qualify
that
for all those
funding.
grants. Because if you read those grants, half of them are underperforming or low income, and we don't qualify.
Right.
So this is a very difficult area.
It is.
To figure out how do you fund things.
And there was a movement that started a couple of years ago through superintendents from areas like ours in Western Mass who are not funded and strongly funded because of our size is small
Yep.
districts that just don't have the numbers to
Yes.
qualify. So it puts us in a difficult position.
less taxpayers because we're a small town. Yeah.
This is why
Build more
there's
houses, problem solved.
well, and there's also conversations, not here, but I mean, the state is pushed to regionalize even larger districts
Yeah.
who get that funding.
Yep.
Right, bring more districts into a regional district. Has that
Yeah.
ever been explored, or
It
anyone
was
ever come knocking on our
something
door
that
saying?
the previous
or-
finance
West
director
Boylston.
was putting in the
West
back
Boylston,
of
sorry.
his mind. But we many years ago, there was a conversation about regionalizing with West Boylston.
She's always one that makes the most sense to me.
Different time, that we weren't regionalized ourselves,
Yeah.
and different culture around that. So that didn't work.
Okay.
Would that ever go back on the table?
It's going to be up to you.
That would involve, Toronto's not big enough.
No,
Well,
then you have
no,
to
wait, hold on.
town.
It doesn't mean they still have a high school there. Doesn't mean they don't
Oh,
have a
you
high
just
school.
you just pool resources.
Yes.
Right. Other things, and then you
Not
become
every
bigger.
You can have two. I mean,
I do all three towns.
districts have two high
No, I'm saying
schools,
if-
two
if-
middle
Not
Definitely
uncommon.
the elementaries. Look at Wachusett, their
Wouldn't
high
close
schools.
You wouldn't build new
massive.
schools because you're regionalizing.
Yeah.
If you regionalize with a third town, you wouldn't necessarily knock down their high school and build a new one just to put them all in the same building.
Yeah.
Regional districts can have multiple high schools, multiple
Right,
elementary
that's
schools,
right.
multiple middle schools. It's one central
Resources
office.
could share, yeah.
Well, no, what's the point of that? When you allow the
Just you want
kids.
one superintendent,
One school committee.
one school.
Yeah, except you're doing it for the benefit of the students.
So
you
you
want the
save money.
student population to get, right. I get all that, but you want the student population together.
Not
You wouldn't have them in
necessarily.
two different, well, I don't know who wouldn't.
Look at Wachusett. Look how many towns are part of the Wachusett region.
But
my
Wachusett has one
gosh.
high school.
Way over.
Yeah, I think you do
massive.
one high school. 'cause
massive.
you-
They have
you
two
know.
high schools?
No, it's
one
one.
high school.
It's massive.
It's huge.
Right.
It's huge,
Yeah.
but they have multiple towns, multiple
Yeah,
elementary
there's
schools.
probably
Yeah,
a couple
multiple
thousand kids in that
elementary,
school.
There's economy of
One high
scale, right, to
Yeah.
regionalizing, and that's why the state wants towns to consider it. Because you save money, and you also then become eligible for bigger grants.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
West Boylston on its own versus us on our own, the grants we'd get more combined if we were
Yes.
one than we were two
Right.
separate.
But we'd have more
We
expenses.
might get 5, they might get 5, but to combine, we might get 15, not 10.
You then bring in, there's an element of control too,
That's, I think,
between the
big
two
one.
towns, then you're bringing in a third town.
Yeah.
This is what a town like, or a district like Wachusett goes through, because different
Right.
towns up there have different cultures and different
Right.
expectations and different tax resources, so there are struggles around that. I mean,
There's
it's,
struggles,
I think that's a big exploration
Oh, yeah.
down the road.
Yeah, that's a huge,
I think we're still growing just as one district right now. not two
yeah, that,
towns.
if that happens, that won't be when our kids are still in this. Maybe
So they won't be with us
ours.
on the school committee, I promise you that.
What?
Won't be with us
Say
on the school
never.
committee, whether my
Lucky
kids are
you
still there or
guys, not my kids. You guys, maybe.
Yeah. We'll see about that. down the
20
road.
days, 19 days.
All right, this was good, thank you. This
Okay,
clears
thank
it
you,
up.
Nancy, that's
I
great.
didn't realize so much stuff was unencumbered.
Yes, yes.
Next item, I threw just a discussion item here on funding for Nature's Classroom. So
Yeah.
I know Julie's been actively involved with
Oh,
this. I
yeah.
know Lori has been an advocate for this for a long time. I understand the cost per student is around $500 per student to participate in Nature's Classroom.
Not including the bus, but
Not
yes.
including the bus, okay. When I heard that number, it just, to me, felt like a potential inequity where there are certainly families in this town that cannot afford $500 to send their kids to Nature's Classroom for a week. So do we want to, I know there's fundraising that gets done to
Yep,
help
there
with the
sure
cost
is,
of it.
yeah.
But I'm certainly interested and willing to discuss whether in a future budget there would be an opportunity for the district to help supplement the cost of that as a programmatic. I mean, it's something, if it's something we think should be part of the curriculum and that every fifth grader should have the opportunity to participate in, I would hate for $500 to be what prevents them from going to it. And I don't know if maybe there's some opportunity in the future to say, hey, the district will match the money that's fundraised. So if it's a $50,000 cost to send everyone to Nature's Classroom, raise 25, we'll match 25, everyone gets to go as a result of those things. But I certainly wanted to bring that up here.
So this goes back to, so this is in essence in that section on equity in the district improvement plan addressing exactly what you're talking about, which was brought up by a school committee a couple of years ago in reference to field trips just in general and the cost of field trips to Costa
Ontario,
Rica
right.
and wherever they were going, and those were thousands of dollars. How do children who don't come from those families that can afford to make that check out
Right.
be able to go on these trips, even to New York City or wherever it is? I would just suggest to think about, it wouldn't be just Nature's Classroom, what
Right.
about other, so that's part of a group to look at how we can fund something like that, have a pot of money that would be available for scholarships for students. Typically,
Yeah,
field trips are
scholarships.
funded by the PTO. That's a conversation that if there's a need, a parent may go to the nurse, a school nurse, or the principal, and then that confidentially goes to the PTO, who pays for that.
Does the BEF ever award scholarships to students that you're aware of?
No, the BEF is strictly grants to teachers.
I mean, I think it would be, that direction's a really interesting one, right? Where there could be some kind of pool of scholarship funds available for need-based scholarships to help students attend or participate in these programs, and there could be a merit component to it too. You know,
Absolutely.
you select the student who has demonstrated need, but above and beyond that has demonstrated a commitment to their own learning, right?
Yeah, or a work study, something that they're doing to help
Right.
in the schools. They could be working after school to do
Right.
some things. Those are all things to consider. I have met, and there's an individual I've met through GS21 who does that work in her community, in her school district, that I wanted to bring on board for these discussions when we had that committee, that it was called the Equity Committee, but it is around that topic.
Yep.
So that's not going to help you right now for this, but down the road, these are those big picture
And the Boylston
items.
PTO asked Lori and I, Megan, you were there too, this question when we were at the meeting a couple months ago, where they're thinking about what do they use their money for versus what should the district be paying for. And the example that came up there was that they had purchased the tables and chairs for the library at BES. Well, to me, that's we should be paying for the table and the
Yeah.
furniture, right? On the other hand, right, if it's something like helping students attend a trip that they otherwise might not be able to afford, maybe it's a PTO scholarship that helps
Yeah.
with that kind of thing.
And they've been,
That, to me,
they do
feels-
that. They
Yeah.
do that. It's just how much, it depends on how much they have in their
Correct.
pot that
Yep.
year, and what the needs are.
Right.
Even so the larger trips are going to be primarily up in the high school, middle high school, right, when they go.
Right.
But
They go.
Do they go to DC?
They haven't
8th grade
lately.
DC or no? I know they haven't.
They haven't.
they
but
haven't really. It's so
part of it
sad.
may, I don't know this, but it may be because of the cost of that. I don't know, but potentially it is. We have to, those are things we would want to find out.
So many
So
things.
ideally, what should be happening is, for both schools at the young ages, that there's fundraising done per class. So kindergartners are doing a couple fundraisers a year, and that money will move with them year over year. And then first grade fundraising. You can do the all-school fundraising too. Like in Berlin, we do a fun run which generates like $25,000.
Yep.
annually. And that just stays in the PTO fund, and they give back, like Carol was saying, if they come and,
Right.
kids can, whatever. But anyways, year over year, that money moves. So by the time you get to 8th grade for the DC trip, you have a good amount of money in there to offset the cost of these trips.
So it's like a class fund, class of
It's like a class
2023.
fund, right. And when you get up to high school, you pay dues,
Yeah.
which move you
This
up
is-
to your
and this is an
senior
also-
year.
Who manages that? That's in
Parents typically will. do
that. So
that
that's
by
a
grade
separate,
level.
but that's not PTO. That's totally separate in
Not
Berlin. You
PTO.
guys have that
It
because we do not
goes-
do that in Boylston.
Student activity.
It goes through the PTO.
So that's a PTO thing.
Well, yes, just because of the bank account.
It could be. the
Right, a
student
group
activity
has, it
account.
has to fall under.
No, I think Carol's right. It's a student activity account.
And there's an
That's
account
right.
for
So-
the class of whatever.
Yes.
Oh, you're talking about class dues?
Yes.
Oh, that's
It could be
student
class
activities.
Even the
dues,
younger
it could
grades.
be.
But what
6th,
about
7th, and 8th have a fund.
I don't think
We
those are held
used
by
to
the
have,
district.
Nancy, when they collected for Nature's Classroom, they had a 5th grade. they would do
WD-40 on
na-
that, huh?
I know.
What do they call that?
Student activities. No.
I'll get my sander and
Lip
stick
sync.
that
Lip
door.
sync.
Lip sync.
They would put that money into the student account to save for
Oh,
that
okay.
trip that was then
Yep.
6th grade.
So,
Okay.
so it's like if the school does a fundraiser. So who does the fun run? The PTO?
The PTO does it. And that money goes all to the PTO.
Okay.
But we're exploring now, we have to think of, because of Nature's Classroom, I'm not going to be there, next year spearheading it. So there's got to be a process in place. This is not
Yeah.
a discussion for here, but for the scholarship idea is great to have a fund, but if the groups can just continue to fundraise within their
Class.
classes, you're setting yourself up.
Makes your
Right.
prom less expensive. It makes me, you could carry that all the way through till graduation if you want.
Exactly, the
But
money
that's a
moves with you.
huge, that's a huge undertaking though, that we don't have a group of people. I don't
Well-
know. I mean, I don't want to speak
Does it
for.
require is there an opportunity here to talk to our PTO, and talk to the Boylston Education Foundation
Mm-hmm.
about how the money they raise is getting spent and what it's getting spent on? And for example, I know the PTO gives a grant to teachers for classroom setups. I'd rather have us paying for the classroom setups as a district.
Yeah.
And have them using those funds to help the kids go to the Equatorium if they can't afford the $15 to go.
Well,
right?
some
Or
of
that they set aside a portion of that
Yeah.
money toward a scholarship
I think it's-
for
I
those
think-
trips.
We need to work more closely with the PTOs and with the Educational Foundation to talk about some of these costs that an individual student might be faced with if they want to participate in a trip to Costa Rica, or there was a Hawaii trip a while back, right?
It was.
And
Didn't you go?
I was on
Didn't
it.
Carol go?
Oh my
Yes.
God.
My trip was
I
paid for.
cannot
which was
believe
Amazing.
you
But-
took kids to Hawaii.
I love
57
it.
of them.
Let's do it again. I'll check with
57.
them. How old were the kids?
Oh, they were junior, senior.
Seniors.
So let's make
Jesus.
it. When
I
Andy's a
love
senior
that.
and
Oh
Andy's
yeah,
a junior,
junior,
we're going to
senior.
Hawaii.
All
Let's go.
right,
It
I'll
was,
do it.
It was a wonderful trip. It was remarkable.
Never
Pearl Harbor, right? Is it Pearl Harbor?
It was the 75th anniversary.
Okay.
Yeah.
How
It
was that flight getting out there with all those kids though? They're fine.
They are a great group. I mean, we
And
we are
behavior,
very,
no,
very fortunate.
no problems.
Well, hey,
Not big problems.
I did,
All
when
right.
I was in high
Relational
school,
issues, but not anything to.
when I was in high school, we did an EF tours trip. I did Spain and Morocco.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
like
super.
20 or 30 kids. But then senior year, we had a sister city agreement, a town in the Azores. And so the band flew to the Azores and did a week in Terceira. And we,
Performed?
oh yeah,
Oh, I
at the
love
Running of the
it.
Bulls. We marched in the Running of the
Oh,
Bulls
my
out in front of the
goodness.
Running of the Bulls, and then we got up on, there was a flatbed tractor trailer for us to stand on, so when the Bulls came out, they couldn't get to the kids on the thing. And of course, the drinking age in Portugal was 18, so there was
Well,
some
that's
challenges
what I
there with that,
mean,
right?
yeah.
But you deal with those things.
But there's
Yeah, you
nothing
deal with
like
that,
that
yeah.
experiential learning.
Oh, man, it's
We've
awesome.
run trips.
It
the,
is.
The French teacher used to do trips to France. They went to Mexico. The former superintendent took a group to Costa Rica.
Are those happening
they did,
now?
And they did service work while they were there
Yeah.
as well.
After 9/11, that
went
stuff
to Haiti.
started.
I did after 9/11.
Because I remember in Shrewsbury, I was a senior, and all that stuff
We
got
canceled one,
canceled.
but we still went to Portugal that day.
And after that, it was sparse. It was less.
Yeah.
And like Julie, to your point about how all the stuff we used to do. I mean, cost has gone through the roof.
Yep.
Just the state of the world, so people are more agitated about traveling
Sure.
and that kind of stuff. COVID. But yeah, I mean, it would be great to. I agree. I think it would be great to. And
Let's go back to the Tohoto, tie this into the conversation about Tohoto. And how do you get kids to stay at Tohoto?
Exactly.
Well, because when you're a junior, you're going to go
Experiential
to France.
learning.
Right.
You're going to go to Spain. You're going to go to...
You
Yeah.
If you're going to offer those opportunities, it should be afforded to all
Those
children who want to
opportunities,
go.
right.
Who want to go.
Yeah,
So we just figure out how to make that happen.
He means tested and funded and figure
So
out.
Berlin, your PTO should meet with the Berlin PTO.
We should-
and we can
what I'd like to
brainstorm.
Can I
do-
add,
okay.
let me just to tell you about, I was going to mention this, when I went to the Berlin meeting, Julie
Oh,
had
yeah,
just
you
left.
had that.
Kyle had talked about the idea of having board meetings between the board members from each of the PTOs at least twice a year.
Oh, smart.
And this would be a conversation that we could do soon.
Yeah.
I mean, bring
Yeah.
those groups together and then
Yeah.
meet again in the spring and kind
Mhm.
of look at these big picture kinds of things.
That's a
And I've talked to
great
Lori
idea.
about too,
Love
maybe
that
sometime
idea.
in January, us doing some kind of retreat as a school committee and maybe inviting these groups to be a part
would
of
be
that.
awesome.
Take a day
Mhm.
and go somewhere, not this building, but somewhere close where we could bring PTOs and we could bring some teachers and we could bring in just CPAC, other groups that want to engage with us. It's not a school committee meeting where it's
not a
structured
table,
certain way,
yeah.
it feels a certain way.
We'll put these kinds of topics on the table for
Correct.
discussion. Cyprian was always very receptive to having us there. They're a great
Yep.
option. We've gone there. But I think that
Go to the Haven.
bringing
Hey,
them
I was just gonna say
together,
Haven.
I mean, they had some wonderful suggestions. Another one was the idea of having Tohoto share their sports schedules with the elementary schools so they could put those in the newsletter. You know, we're having a Powder Puff football game on
How
Saturday.
much would Henry and Andrew let you go watch
Just
the Tohoto baseball team?
communication.
Oh my
I mean,
God, I
right?
know, I know, and
Big
like
game coming. Yeah.
for soccer, we're very lucky because the head coach at Tohoto is also runs U8 and he's with the little kids. So there, I'm noticing even on Facebook that collaboration is happening, but not for nothing else.
So I want to get back to our agenda, just so.
Yeah, I think we need to somehow. I agree about the fundraising, and I just
Okay.
Let's talk about.
that's
this.
going to be a bigger
We'll-
conversation.
yeah,
School committee
we'll
meeting
figure that out
agendas,
with
and things we want to
PTS.
talk about coming to the new year and what we want to
Yep.
spend time on. Let's
I'll
get
get
to the
that.
fun part here, which is two more agenda items and we're done. Review above level service requests.
Oh my goodness, there's so many.
So I broke it out in two ways.
Thank you.
The first one's on an Excel spreadsheet where it's by section and
Yep.
totaled on the bottom. And the second is just in Word,
Please, you don't understand
briefly
anything I've seen
described.
so far, so thank you so much, Nancy. This is great.
Yep.
This is great.
So,
Yeah, this is a really easy way to
Want to go
understand.
section by section, start with
Sure.
facility?
yep, so facilities, yes.
$10,000 for hardware and thresholds on doors?
Yep. So
4 doors?
Berlin was easy.
Ah.
Well, because of the assessment, the facility assessment. So a lot of these were taken from there. But we'll get to the capital plan too. So in the facility assessment was the replace and finish hardware and thresholds for 4 exterior doors. Then you also had the reprogram pellet boiler, remove and replace existing cast and the concrete walkway panels, which I feel really need to be done. A lot of the ceiling tiles need to be replaced, particularly in the cafeteria and the office
Just a
203.
point, understanding this, so the facility items here, are these part of the capital?
They're not,
No.
unless you decide you want to move them, which once we look at the capital plan, you'll understand.
Okay, thanks.
Because it's quite high.
Mm-hmm.
So I put these in our operating budget, but nothing says that if you, I mean, it's yours. So if you choose, we can move them over,
Okay.
you know. The replace in Tohoto, the big one is for $6,700 is replacing all the lights and the ballots throughout the school. And the expensive part of that is renting the,
Thing that goes
Thing.
up.
yeah, what is it
Yeah.
called?
The,
Lift?
It's a lot.
Yeah,
Yes.
the lift, what are the, yeah.
And that's
Yep.
$3,000.
Yep.
To just rent that, to change
Yep.
I
that.
didn't know
Yeah.
that. That's what it cost to move my hot tub too.
Yeah.
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 So
It's
Oh
great.
my God.
Yeah.
On the Tohoto piece here, I don't see anything, maybe it's somewhere else, around the conversation we have with the Student Success Committee about the access key card system. Is that?
That's in capital.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
We'll get there.
Yep. So that's, then,
Technology.
technology. This is, you got music technology in the class. That's a class, right, Carol?
Yes, as
Yep.
a class.
Yep. Science would like a
40?
laptop cart.
So that also includes the, what's the class called? The Technology Communications, the one that Joel Goulet runs, the ones that train the students to use the cameras and. So it includes laptops for that, but the music technology class is around 38,000 because it needs the specific max to run the program and
Yeah.
other pieces. It was funded originally through the Fuller Foundation as a
And
private
what happened?
grant.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so what happened with that?
Well,
Great.
now this period of time has gone by, 5 or 6 years, so the material's antiquated, the technology is.
But can we go back to the Fuller Foundation for another grant?
We could, but my argument with that is, if this is going to be our curriculum, we shouldn't be, and it's going to be constant, we shouldn't be constantly relying on private grants to fund curriculum
Valid.
pieces. So I did want it in there.
But to that point, I think that underscores the need for someone focused exclusively on grants, who can research the Fuller Foundation, the Alden Foundation, other groups that exist in Worcester County. There are a lot of Worcester County.
The Fuller Foundation is Boylston specific. I think we talked about this last time. They only give to Boylston and Worcester.
Oh, Worcester, okay.
They will give to Worcester, but they are from Boylston.
But I just think that, so your point is well heard, Carol, around once it becomes part of our curriculum, we need to pay for it. But I think, let's say there's something new we wanted to do, and we wanted to pilot. I
Yeah.
think that's where you could go to those foundations. Say, hey,
Yes,
we want to pilot a program in this certain
Absolutely.
area. We want your support to help do it. And then, hey, if it's successful, we'll incorporate it into our budget 3-5 years
Yeah.
from now.
Right.
Okay.
Then a laptop cart for the science department.
Mm-hmm.
3D printer for technology and engineering. This is, the 16,400 is a price for one 3D
Okay.
printer, but they would like 2 to 3 of them.
Okay.
Lab Quests for chemistry and physics. That's a software.
Okay.
Gizmo, which is a renewal. And computer numerical control.
What is that?
I don't know what that is.
CNC. It's a
Oh,
software.
CNC stuff. Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
So who comes to you with these requests?
The department chair.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Miscellaneous.
I'm sorry, do they
Yes.
prioritize when they make these requests? Do we know if they have one over another that's more important to them?
Most of them do, yes.
Okay.
I would say so.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
These, I would say these are the priority.
Yeah,
items
these
for
are-
them.
These are
Okay.
things like
Like
that, like we
critical
need
items
these to
right
move
now.
Yeah,
forward.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Nurses need a new screening odometer
Okay.
for the nurse's office. That would be
Yes.
split amongst the schools. Boylston and Berlin would like to start putting money in to replace desks and chairs for teachers and students.
Okay.
So they were thinking that it'd be nice to kind of start putting that in as a line item.
And
Stand
that
up.
speaks to
Just
your,
stand up.
that speaks to your,
Yeah.
to the furniture piece.
So is it get more little balls they can sit on?
They have those in a lot of the classrooms,
There you go.
like seating, yeah.
Yes, okay.
Orton Gillingham training
Yeah.
is through special education.
Okay.
District Family Success Partnership, that's a special education.
Yeah.
And we would like to, was
bus.
requested to add the late bus on Wednesdays.
And the District Family Success Partnership is currently in the ESSER grant, ESSER 3,
Okay.
but we'll be
Yep.
done with that grant, so if we're going to
Can I ask you
continue.
on the bus piece? So students that go to the after-school program at BES get picked up, right? How is the bus critical to our ability to offer those after-school opportunities versus just having parents pick the kids up when
you-
they're done?
In elementary or middle high
Middle
school?
high school.
I think it's absolutely critical. Again, it goes to that piece where, of equity, where we provide all students with an ability to have transportation if they need to stay after for extra help, to participate in clubs. My proposal here was around, we have the Tuesday, Thursday bus it's part of our contract already, so that's paid for. This is adding an additional
Adding
day.
Wednesday, okay.
So,
And it comes to our curriculum section. Berlin and Boylston, additional read aloud for reading comprehension. That's grades K through 2. Typing.com was requested for grades 2 through 5. Literacy decodables per school. It's for materials.
What's
from
that?
Grades K through 3.
right, those are books that students can access that help them practice with phonics.
Okay.
It's a library of books that they can access.
Foundation Fun Hub, which you would think it would be foundation, and I thought it was wrong, but
No,
it
it's
is foundation.
foundations, Yeah.
So this has always been free, and now it's a subscription.
It was free during the pandemic. Much was free, so we got attached to certain things
Right,
that
of
no
course,
longer
of
have a
course.
cost to them.
And I think that's the problem that a lot of this is a lot of this was written into the ESSER grants,
Yep.
and now the ESSER grants aren't available anymore. So we have, it's a tough thing we're facing. Rocket math.
Just reading.
They're not a big expense.
Yeah, I mean the Amira Fluency, it's out to quote. They didn't get the quote back yet. Math, grade 6, 7, and 8. It will be a 5-year subscription, so it won't. It's 30,000. So this is currently being piloted, correct, Carol?
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah. So this will come back in again until 5 years from now, which is good. So your history, social science, this includes 10,000 towards piloting grade 7.
Right. In the past, we've had, so I put in that 10,000 in, so it would have been 13,000 for costs for history, social science. But we're finding now that the publishing companies are requiring a fee. For example, we had to pay a fee for the piloting of the math, the McGraw-Hill
Okay.
program. So now they're making us pay. Not all of them. We found Houghton Mifflin did not have that for when we were doing the 3 through 5
Can I ask a quick,
program.
just back to the regionalization connotation earlier. Do larger districts get better rates on these things because they're buying more of them?
They can.
Have we ever looked at, or is there opportunity to join bigger districts when it comes to purchasing? Like if we need 10 new human geography books, can we ask Worcester to order 10 extra on their number and then we pay them for what it costs them per book? Are there ever opportunities for that?
There hasn't been. I don't know.
Yeah,
Is that
I've
a
never-
possibility?
I wonder if, not for now, I'm not throwing something on your plate, but I think over the long term, some kind of purchasing collaborative where we could partner with other districts that have similar products. They want, hey, we're trying to buy 10 of these, but if we can get to 25, it's going to reduce the per unit cost.
Yeah.
Hey, other district finance directors, are you looking to buy the same thing? Let's combine our efforts.
Yeah,
and
I've
save
never
some
heard
money.
of. I'm not saying. I just
Yeah.
haven't heard of that, but it's
It could be a good idea unless there's like licenses with the books. I don't know how they used to do it. I know I taught a class and I taught a grad school class and there was like certain licenses
Yeah,
and
that's true.
logins for the online stuff. And, if you had any issues, it was like licensed to this person, this district, this teacher. So,
But for something like history,
a
when some of
book,
these are just
a straight
textbooks,
book, it could be, yes, for
Yeah.
software, it might be tricky, but yeah, for a straight book, I
Yeah.
can't believe the cost
See, I
on
think for
some of this
software it's less
stuff.
tricky because it's easier to negotiate with them because it doesn't really cost them anything.
Well, yeah,
License.
software should be easier to negotiate, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for just a couple books though.
Right.
Instruments. We'd like to add that into the budget.
Where's the instrument?
Oh, I
line?
love it.
6,000.
again,
That's
that
awesome.
and we talked about that
That,
before.
that,
That's
that
a
got
6,000
pulled last year from our.
It did.
Yeah.
Did it?
Okay.
That's a
Good for you.
6,000 per year for 5 years. That will get us several instruments per
That's
year
great.
that are.
Yeah.
Now, when we look at the
That's
instrument
great.
spending, are we looking at, so if someone wants, back to equity, if someone wants to play clarinet, are we gonna have a clarinet they can use?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
The instruments right now, a number of them are old, are
Yeah.
not even workable. So
Yeah.
that's what they're trying to do.
Okay.
Is this at the high school, middle school, or?
Oh,
It's in the Tohoto
Tohoto.
column, so
It
Sorry,
should be in the
Tohoto.
Tohoto,
Sure
but I
is.
think it's, looking at all of them.
That's great.
is 6,000 enough?
Well, they
I think
also
we're
have,
underfunding
they
this
also
area.
have a
We
revolving.
are underfunded.
We're
this
underfunding
area.
this area,
Oh, so yeah, significantly.
We are.
theater, performing arts.
Yeah.
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 In this district, yeah, I agree, because that's probably one of the things, if you're looking at reasons why people are leaving the district in high school, it's stuff like that. It's not the reading, math, it's the extras.
The
I put on my Keith
The
Lewis hat.
lack thereof.
No, and I
Yeah.
do think
No,
that the
yeah,
department
seriously.
chair is desperately trying to get this money. So
Okay.
he's
Yeah.
willing to take a lower amount to do anything with it. Because again, like you said, it wasn't funded last year.
So I'd like to suggest we potentially look at that number again and maybe go higher.
I agree. I mean, instruments are very pricey.
Absolutely.
Very pricey, right?
And the maintenance of them
And
as
the
well. Like
maintenance.
Oh, yeah, they
piano
get
needs to
fixed
be
and, I mean,
tuned,
any
yeah.
number
That's a
of
good
things.
point. So I wonder what 6,000 will even get you.
2 Barry saxes, not a lot.
Yeah, that's what he's factored. That's
Right.
what he's.
The clarinet's $500 probably, a sax probably 1,500. I mean, a lot.
And then for psychology and AP psychology, textbooks need to be updated. Same thing with AP Modern World. Under English, Common Lit Assessments Pro Package, that's a 3-year contract.
Yeah.
And then sign-in software.
And I would just, the AP books, the textbooks are just, they're either ripped, they're ones they
Yeah.
still want to use, and/or they need more because the enrollment may have increased on those courses. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
And then you got pricing for the portrait of the graduate.
No, so Mr. Topman had asked a question in the Student Success Committee around this, and is this something we need to outsource, or do we not think we could go through this exercise internally?
No, we need to have a consultant. One of the things Nancy had found out for me, though, was there's a grant available that I want to pursue for this. We're going to meet with this, the consultant on PD Day, the administrative team. I want them to hear what this person is offering, what this means for us, and if we go forward, then I'm going to, with this company, I'm going to apply for this grant.
Great.
Okay.
So,
It's awesome.
so hopefully that will be taken up by that grant.
Yeah.
If that, so make sure I understand, so if we get this in the budget, for example, then a grant comes to cover that cost, do we give the money back to the towns, or do we spend it somewhere else? What happens at that point?
You mean if this budget gets approved with that in it?
And then the grant
No,
comes later?
the budget gets approved for a certain dollar amount.
Okay,
So,
got it.
Oh, you
Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
can go back.
Yep.
Yeah.
yep,
So you can move it.
yep.
Okay. Personnel.
Personnel. So for Berlin,
I'm sorry, apologize, back to curriculum for a second.
yeah.
Are there ELA items that are not here that we think should or could be? to help
Not
our-
at this time. I
Thank
think
you.
everything is covered right now.
Okay, personnel.
Personnel. So 2 paras were added in for Berlin, 1 for kindergarten, 1 as a tutor para.
Can you explain to me what a tutor para is?
Carol, do you know more than me on that one? I got this from
Personnel.
Janelle. I think it's a para that helps
I
with
think
tutoring
this
of
is for the
kids.
individual who's working with the Bright program. Would that be it? I don't want to speak to this because I'm not certain. Oh, that's in Berlin? I'm not
Oh,
certain who.
I know where it is. Okay, hold on. I can tell you in 1 minute.
We have a tutor who's a literacy tutor.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not
Our
this
math
role.
tu-
That's not
Yeah,
that
so I
one.
don't know if it's that person. Not the coach for the tutor, but a tutor.
No,
that's
yeah, I know what
working
you're
with
talking
Great
about.
program.
it. It is
These
a
numbers are
Bright.
salary and benefits?
So that one, Nancy,
No.
would go,
Okay.
Benefits are coming.
if that's the Bright program, that would go over to Tohoto.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I thought
So,
Bright was BES, no? Oh,
No, it's
Tohoto.
Tohoto.
on this,
Bridges is BES.
so we have a sped para professional, full-time
Names.
kindergarten, 53,000. That's the salary?
Sorry, that's 2. That should say
That's
2.
two.
I didn't change it to
Okay.
2 FTE. I apologize.
And
And
so-
same thing with
Got it.
the other one.
Got it.
Yeah,
Tutors.
sorry about that.
All right,
Okay.
no, got it.
Yep.
It's
Okay,
okay.
so that number, okay. From benefits? in here?
No, benefits are not there yet. Yeah.
That's a good
Which
salary.
now is going to change my benefits as we get down, so it's going to be a
Okay.
little more, but we'll
Okay.
deal with that in a minute.
That's okay.
Okay.
Wait, so then this, under BES, it's probably 2 FTE under tutor as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah. That copy and paste, man. Yep.
And then on the, wait a second though. I don't know about that. 'cause
No,
in
wait,
Ed-
Gen Ed paraprofessional, that's gonna be 4 FTE? No.
What is?
The line above tutor,
Okay,
it's 2
so
FTE, but 53,768.
apologize.
Is it 4,
Hold
Nancy?
on.
You see the line I'm talking about?
Yeah. It's
Wait a
that's
second.
That's 4?
that's for. Oh my goodness! I'm so sorry, you guys.
Wait a second though.
Let's go to this. Hold on.
How many, I'm sorry, how many, if you're a hourly para, how many
Okay.
hours in the day?
6.5.
6 months.
So I'm going to go back and correct some things. Okay.
Okay.
So can we go back to the beginning of the
Yeah.
personnel?
Yeah, yep.
So the 53,000, it's 2 paras, 1 kindergarten and 1 tutor. So there's only one 53,000. So just take one
Okay.
off.
So those should be like 26 each,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's 2.
So-
But the
one
one,
goes under Berlin, one goes under Tohoto.
Okay.
so
Oh,
it's,
okay.
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 Then,
So each para that's on here, a full-time para, we're putting into this 27,000
Yes.
or so number?
Yes.
26,000 something? Okay.
so then as you go down,
Adjustment counselor, 80,000, that looks like it's right.
Again,
That's
the-
correct.
That's the one that was in the.
We have
that,
the
right?
grant, right?
Is there, now there was no adjustment counselor at BMS from the
No.
org chart.
No.
Is that not a need at BMS?
No.
That's why I was gonna ask.
Wait a minute, let's finish with Nancy's thing.
All right, go ahead.
okay.
Or on that one?
Yeah, BMS only has one there. BES
So
is
if you
three.
go down, see where it says sped paraprofessional 3,
Yeah.
Yep,
that is for 161. That includes 3 kindergarten paras, 1 tutor para, and 2 general. So the 107 and the 53 come out. I apologize.
Okay, so
So
just
it's total 161.
Total's 161.
Got it.
Sorry about that.
So it's 6 paras at
Yes.
BES. 3 for
3 kindergarten, 4 general, and 2 tutor.
I'm sorry. That doesn't work.
3 kindergarten,
2 general?
2
1 tutor?
general. Did I say 4?
Yeah.
1 tutor.
1, 2, so 6 total.
Yes.
And that's for BMS?
And that's 1 BES.
Yes.
That's the 161. So we can cross off the 107 and the
Yes.
53 under
I'm
there.
I
That's okay.
apologize.
All right.
The rest seem fine.
Okay,
All right.
So then we added in the school adjustment counselor for Boylston.
right.
Wait, so Boylston only has one full-time classroom teacher.
Correct.
Adding in 1 classroom teacher.
I thought it was 2.
We had talked about 2 in the. district
So let me
plan, but we'll-
also, this is based off of the principal's requests. This is not based off of the 3-year.
Plan.
The
Plan.
district plan, improvement
So
plan.
this, I didn't,
This
I
one
figured the
might be
plan's not approved.
Absolutely.
So I didn't go there with that.
Gotcha.
So this is
Yeah.
just the principal request.
This is just like,
So
I'm
there will be-
requesting this,
yes.
don't care what the district improvement plan
Right.
is, this
So
is what
keep
I
in mind,
need
the
right
If you
now.
want stuff from the improvement plan,
It's gonna be-
on
so
here,
that'll be
unless the
over and
principal
above.
requested it.
Maybe more.
Okay.
Could
Right,
change it,
right.
Things.
So we'll have to compare what is
So then-
on here that's already in the plan and then do the over and above that's
Looking
gonna
at,
be.
so
Okay.
the adjustment counselor line,
Mm-hmm.
currently grant funded, correct?
Yes.
Or a portion of it's grant funded?
Yes,
So we're gonna
.6 was grant funded.
start taking on the whole thing.
right, and the
Next
position
year.
was
Uh-huh.
26.
So if .6 was grant funded,
Yep.
but .4 was not grant funded because it's a full-time
Came out of the
line, right?
budget.
So is the above service level really the FTE or is it just the .6?
.6. So my understanding was, I just looked at this. It's 1, but I gotta find that paper.
That's taken from other grants. That's
There was like-
1.4, I suspect.
Okay.
I don't know for sure.
There it
but-
is. Okay. Boylston Elementary added a .6 adjustment counselor 2 years ago following COVID. This is, this is entirely funded through the ESSER 3 grant. It's only right now a .6 position. I thought .4 was coming from the general budget. I am
No.
incorrect.
But he increased.
So we increased it to 1, so that's why
Correct.
it's 1.
Got it.
Okay.
And just to make a point here is look at this full sheet. The bottom line number here is going to be off because it's not,
Yep,
we'll have to revisit that.
because of what I,
Because we crossed out.
yes.
When you redo your spreadsheet, that'll easily.
Probably do it.
There's
Yeah, that'll-
160 or so coming out of there.
Yeah. Okay, so then, in a request to add an assistant principal at
Yep.
Tohoto,
That's salary only, 117.
that, yep, all these are salary only, the
Yep.
benefits are at the bottom.
So that's in addition to the current existing assistant principal.
That would be 2 assistants.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yep, love it.
A request to have the school counselors work 5 days over the summer.
Okay,
There's 3 of them. Request for an additional math teacher,
okay.
an additional science teacher.
Yep, yep.
The athletic director, we put here, but it's still up in the air. Possibly a request, if it works out, athletic director / student culture.
Julie says no.
What? Oh,
No, I'm a resounding
record.
yes.
Julie's
Resounding
all
yes.
about that. But why would it be a
It's so
full
important.
salary if he's already a
I think
math?
because they're changing this around. It's a full-time role. The math teacher would
So they need to
stay.
hire another math teacher. Gotcha.
Yeah, something.
In addition to the other math
Whoever does
teacher that's
what,
on
there's a-
here.
the line-
Gotcha, gotcha,
new
gotcha.
line.
It's an additional person.
Yep,
I love it.
An additional special education teacher.
yep.
Another thing that we put on here is we currently have 2 custodians that we outsource with.
Okay.
I guess this was a change that was
At
made.
Tohoto or everywhere?
One is in
Berlin.
Berlin and
Yep.
one is in Tohoto.
Okay.
Salary-wise, it's really not that much of a difference. It's about $475 additional. When you add in the benefits is where the money
Yep.
comes back in. So we put that in here, and then when we get to the benefit line, you'll see that it's added in there.
Okay.
Okay.
And do we feel strongly that there's need that making those?
I do.
Okay.
They're committed to the district
Yeah.
when they're ours. You know, they have a pride in the schools and the physical school. And Nancy, I was thinking too, you know, when you have people who are outsourced, I know districts do that, but how do they handle plowing and things like that? I mean, we
Yeah.
have these guys used to come in, Danny and everybody.
Yeah,
I mean,
Danny was great.
Wonderful. I mean,
And
they're there.
you have a lot more control when they're yours too.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
evaluations and
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. Floating nurse, that would be spread throughout the district. We currently outsource, that's ABC. I don't know that acronym. Oh, we outsource with ABC for occupational therapists, and we would like to hire them internally.
Oh, yeah, good idea.
Cost-wise, not much of a difference, but you got to think of the benefits.
Yep.
We would like to add someone to help with technology
Yeah.
support throughout the building.
This is the,
Big, yep. That's a good
okay.
one.
And then,
What would that one person be split? But I mean,
Yeah, it'd be
probably
split
really
throughout.
spending the most of the time at Tohoto, yeah.
yeah. So the next line is the benefits. I forecasted them all out as family plans, which is about $20,000
Okay.
per person.
Versus an individual
Yeah,
plan.
yeah.
This, so the bottom line number, the BE estimate's gonna go down by about.
Yeah, I'm gonna
150,
adjust it real
200,
quick
yeah.
right now.
All right, and then tell us the total.
Yeah.
What is this little 20,000 in the margin? Is that the benefit for the custodian?
Oh, that was my little math on the side that shouldn't have printed. Yes.
All right, I just wanted, that's why I thought, I'm like,
That's
when you said 20 is
yeah,
about the
that's
benefit, I'm like,
exactly
that
what
must
it
be the
is.
benefit.
Yes.
So you could add it in.
Yeah, yeah. But I added it down below. But yeah, yeah.
This is great, Nancy. Thank you. This is
You're welcome.
huge.
Sorry for the little bit of confusion
no,
there.
Oh,
We never saw
So
this
originally I put it on the Word document.
No.
And then I'm like, oh, I kind of like the idea of adding them up. So this was the last minute add. So
This is really great.
Yeah, no, I like this.
What a amount of time it took.
yeah.
So thank
And
you.
listen to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been working all night on it, people.
So Carol, can I ask you the late bus on Wednesday? Was there any reason you picked Wednesday over Monday or Friday?
I think there's going to be less students who would stay Mondays and Fridays. I mean,
Okay.
we can shift that to a Monday or Friday, but typically,
Okay.
There we go.
there's not a lot of folks wanting to stay
Okay.
on Friday. We may not get teachers who want to stay on Friday, you know, for
okay.
clubs
Okay.
and organizations. Just think it's more consistent.
Sure, all right.
Lots of days off on Monday too, right?
That's a great point. Yeah, that
Holidays.
too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I should have asked this before, so kind of, we brought up the school psychologist. How come BES has 3, they have 2 psychologists and an adjustment counselor, and Berlin only has 1?
Psychologist. It was a need. It was a need that stemmed from the pandemic.
At BES.
But
Western
why
principal.
specific at BE? It was just a
You're
stop.
bigger too.
It's a different
Only by-
population, right?
There was a different population, a different
a lot.
philosophy around
I mean-
supporting students.
No, is that double? You guys have like, how many?
200, 300, it's about a third more at BES.
Third one.
But
But it's 200 to 300, yeah.
I think economically, there's more economically disadvantaged households in Boylston than there are in Berlin.
Okay.
So the bottom line comes out to 1.7 million of above level service requests.
What was it last year? Do we know?
I don't
It
know.
was less than that.
I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm sorry. What was it again? I was thinking
1.7.
1.7.
That's
So
the total.
164 in Berlin,
Yep.
567 in Boylston.
Yep.
And 947 in Tohoto.
And the total, I'm sorry, what was again?
About 1.7.
Okay. I definitely would like to see, of everything I've seen so far, that additional classroom teacher added to BES.
Yeah, we need
Okay.
two.
As for that second one. So that we have 3 in every grade.
Yes.
So this would be 2. Okay.
Is there, Carol, any discussion at the high school for drama? I know there's a club, I know about,
That's what they have
Wow.
after school. Matt Hager was
Yeah.
taking that over, right? They do
Okay.
have a show coming up. I don't know the date, but they do have something they're
Okay.
working on right now, performance.
just the club kids.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. What are you thinking, Julie? I'm wondering what you're...
Just a drama department where there's,
department.
yeah.
It's typical for drama to be a club though, right? Even at bigger places.
Most schools always in drama department.
So Carol, you
In
do,
big districts, it
That was a big
probably
district.
is.
Oh, yes, a massive production.
and you,
But
but,
clubs,
well, usually like that, wouldn't it be in the music department,
Performing
right?
arts,
It would be
part of
under
performing
that.
arts,
Performing
right?
arts.
Performing arts, so usually you'd have a department like that, to your point, and maybe one of, like, maybe the choral teacher. I mean, I'm just remembering from my high school, I used to go to chorus. Yeah, so it was a class, it wasn't a,
You went to
you
court?
had,
no, we had a drama, we had,
Can you sing for us?
yeah. But you had, to your point, you had to go on the musical or do the concert, you had it was an elective class, but you're right, it was,
Right.
but it was in it was like a band, you could pick band, and for your music class,
Right.
you could pick band, you could pick chorus, you
Chorus.
could pick musical, drama, whatever. So yeah,
Like Glee. Like that show Glee.
Oh,
They have a
yeah,
drama,
like
you
Glee,
know,
like
right?
Glee.
It's like that, yeah, they do.
but you had to
Was
pick
there a
one.
superintendent in Glee? Was there a superintendent character in Glee?
I don't remember.
So maybe that
the
department
principal
needs
was,
expansion.
what's her name? Was,
Oh God, Glee,
oh yeah,
that,
she was so good, she was so good.
that show was on when I was in
Okay.
labor, so
Okay.
I can't even think about it.
sorry, we digress.
So,
But anyway,
so
like
how are they
that.
funded? How is that club funded? I'm thinking like a drama.
Stipends for the for that person who's running the club. But you mean
Okay.
for like props and things
Yeah,
like
all
that?
that, the light, all that.
Yeah, not.
But that's not a class at school, so
Right.
let's say, so when you're in high school, do you have to take a music class?
No.
So it's just an
That's a
elective,
big,
and what are the things that you
Art.
can pick?
Pottery.
For your
yeah.
Like for
Well,
if
that's also
if you're a
art.
musical or a dramatic person, what can you pick as your elective?
jazz band,
So you have,
band,
And
chorus.
oh, there is chorus.
Yeah, there's chorus. Oh yeah, they did a great job with the kids last year. But the problem is coming from 5th to 6th, it's a scheduling issue. So
It
the
is a
elementary
scheduling
teachers work
issue.
really hard to get these kids excited and good by the time they're, leaving 5th grade. But then when they get up to 6th grade, because it's a scheduling nightmare, so the kids drop the instrument when they go into 6th.
Yeah, and then in middle into the high school, it's even more complicated because you're up against AP classes that the
Yeah.
students want to take, so.
Yeah,
it's
that's
a
common though
challenge.
everywhere, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because there's
I
only so
understand
many
he
hours
put
in
together
the
a
day.
pretty good solution.
So
Yes.
Yes.
just to bring it back to the budget for a second, looking at the clock, I wanted to let
Yep.
our videotaper go too.
It's already 11.
The next steps for this,
Yep.
what typically happens next, or what's supposed to
So
happen?
now,
in our time?
we work on the rest of the budget,
Okay.
getting into the system, making sure we got all the proper increases, accounting for everybody, putting everything in, and seeing where we stand. And then we present it to the school committee. I don't have the date in front of me. I want to say it's,
December?
I
I
think
have
it's
it.
December.
And
So that's pretty much where my life is between now and December.
December
Getting all
8th.
that together.
Carol, is
Yep.
there anything here that you would initially suggest maybe revisiting and pulling back? If we wanted to cut?
No.
Okay.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I think that the numbers are worth a pause and a swallow and a little bit of angst, but a lot of angst actually, but these are our needs. I mean, these are things we've been pushing off in some cases for years. These are very thoughtful additions.
Yep.
I don't think anybody put anything down here in a nice to have column. We feel like this is what we need
Right.
to go forward.
Okay. I think the two things I commented on to say to increase would be the instrumental, the cost of instruments,
Yep.
and the
Teacher.
The teacher.
teacher at BES.
Okay.
And I think that the reason we didn't put the two, and I spoke with the principal there, we actually had conversations about that, that person was hesitant to put it on there because they weren't sure that there was a need, and so they were trying to be fiscally responsible. I think that's what I would also say about this. I think the principals are always trying to be fiscally responsible
Yeah.
here in what their asks are.
I agree with Adam, because if you don't, then a third grade teacher will have to become a second grade teacher.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Or
it's-
musical teachers.
Yes, and we don't want to, I think we decided, or we discussed at this meeting, we do not want to do that in our buildings anymore for the elementary levels.
And the just to add, the principals are always, we're all always looking through the lens of being conservative. It's
Yeah.
sort of ingrained in us. So to step out and be pushed to ask for more
Yeah.
is uncomfortable. It's artificial for us. It's not something we are accustomed to.
No, I
at all.
totally get that,
So,
but I think it's a severe need.
yeah.
So can I go back to drama just really quickly? This will be the last time.
I actually had, can I?
Yeah, yes,
I'm sorry,
yes,
I was
of
thinking
course.
about the funding part of it because
Yeah,
I've
I love
actually
it.
started a drama program before.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
great.
So pretty much what you would want to do is for, like, when you're saying drama program, would it be presenting plays to the
Yes.
public?
Yep.
Okay.
Like the lighting and the
ev-
acting,
yeah.
all that.
So to start off a program, it would have to become either, it was a mix when I did it between the PTO
Yeah.
and between the school. We built
Okay.
a little bit into our budget and the PTO helped fund it. And then once it got started, between fundraising, they pay a fee to come see the plays.
Yep.
And then it starts funding itself. You create a revolving
Okay.
account, and then over time, it starts funding itself.
Okay.
And the school would pay. We at my old place paid the stipends for the
Okay.
advisors.
So in your, so Nancy, perhaps you in your free time, then maybe you would become a volunteer to run the program.
Well,
Megan did
I'm
course.
good with the
Megan
money
did-
part.
The adult course, guys and dolls.
Yeah.
I played in Guys and Dolls.
That's how we
what
did
I
it.
played in the pit
Yeah.
at Guys and
And
Dolls
then
when I was in high school.
eventually, you got fundraising. You sell refreshments. You could
Yeah.
do refreshments.
Yeah.
We came up with all
Just to get us
a
concluded here.
lot of fundraising,
Right.
and then you're selling the tickets and stuff, and
Right.
you build up your balance, and then you fund your own as it went. We did it like a 3-year plan. Like I
Okay.
don't remember how much the school put in and the
great idea,
PTO
though.
put in, but it's how we ended up getting it started.
Okay.
Sorry, I
And
didn't
you
mean
say
to
He's gonna pull the
interrupt you.
trigger on this at
You
times.
put it in their general budget.
the
It would be a
general budget.
above-level service request for $5,000 for the drama club.
Is there
or
a
whatever.
central
Yeah.
office column missing here?
Yeah.
Could that go in?
Are
You
there
guys
any-
aren't asking for anything?
Anything above level
Yeah.
service that we should be
Absolutely.
looking at centrally
Excellent, run it.
that isn't in here?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm the guy that's
I
running
think
it.
it would fall under the budget,
It's a
the
nice
actual,
program.
Wouldn't be above level
No.
service?
at
Okay.
this time.
And all the kids love going
There
to
was
the
something I was
shows.
thinking
Yeah,
about.
that's
Megan.
the way to close community.
Oh, it's huge.
Oh.
I was just thinking, I
So
think we
wait a
should
second.
put in for the
Hold
drama.
on for a second. What, school committee administrative assistant.
Oh, yeah.
Administrative assistant to the school committee.
Yes, I
Second
wonder.
line here.
It seems like that goes in the budget. Does that go in the budget?
Isn't it in the budget?
Wouldn't that be an
Would not
expense?
hiring a specific
Separate
person
person.
supporting the school committee.
Like a part-time.
Oh.
It would be like a part-time, right?
To
Adam?
split that job.
So does,
Split that job between what?
Well, so that the superintendent would have her administrative assistant?
Yes.
Who would not have responsibility to the school committee?
No.
But the school committee would have its own administrative support to help the school committee.
So you're saying the assistant to the superintendent would split both duties?
No, the assistant
Oh,
superintendent would
take
just,
it off of
right
that.
now, they split both duties. Christie supports the school committee.
Right,
and
that's usually how
superintendent.
it's done.
We're gonna split that so that the superintendent has her administrative support, but the school committee has a separate person supporting it, not full-time.
Not full-time.
No, part-time role to support
Okay.
the school committee.
So that needs to
enough
be
so
added
that
in here.
the amount that was budgeted for that individual to do that job?
I think it'll be more.
Would that, so would it include that funding plus more, or?
I don't know, I think you have to understand the numbers from you guys, but I think that within the budget somewhere, we want to account for an additional administrative support staff person, part-time.
Probably like an
supporting the school
hourly.
committee.
I would say no benefits hourly. Like that would be
It's
a
likely to be an hourly
perfect thing
position. So-
for a mom
What
looking
about-
for some extra
I think
work.
5 or 10 hours a week.
5 to 10
Yeah,
hours a week,
something like
including
that.
night meetings?
Correct.
We're not talking benefits.
I want an
just
administrative assistant, for example, attending this meeting with us right now,
taking minutes,
taking minutes, following up, getting the agenda.
coming to the school committee meetings, doing the minutes,
That would be huge. 'cause
and sending the agendas out. It shouldn't be that much work, but it
But
just,
it's more work than we're asking of Christy right now.
Yes.
Because we're not asking her to be at this meeting, for example, right? Because we know that that's above and beyond. what
well, she has her,
is part
yeah,
of the
she's
thing.
doing her own
Right.
stuff. Plus, I think
Okay.
the separation is important.
I think what we have to look at is how that's going to be. Is that going to be another separate, it is a separate position, but some funding is already in a salary line item. Does that move?
Or, right.
Or does it, or we budget, or just?
Right.
It's an-
I think it depends on,
I'd
We'll let you guys
Yes,
work on that.
work
yeah,
on that.
yep, that has
Yes,
to,
yeah, yeah.
figure it out.
Figure out how
that
much
out.
that would be.
Yes, okay.
so something to take into consideration when you're figuring all that out.
Yeah, yep, got it.
So could we add into personnel then, drama?
You want to add a person?
I think it would, the choral
No,
person
I think
should
it
do
would go with whomever's doing it now. Just, it would come, so as Nancy was saying, that how she did it when they started the program was the school budgeted a certain amount, and then the PTO, and I can speak of Tohoto PTO, and they contributed some, and then it eventually.
So do we not have any kind of drama club right now that's doing?
We do.
We do,
What's the money
So
for?
to help, I don't know, to help him with, well, I think it's a.
It's a stipend for the individual who's running the
Who's
drama
running
club.
it, so he needs props, and he needs stuff to like do staging and.
Does Tohoto do a
paints
play?
and-
Yes.
Yeah, they do.
Costumes, small little
Costumes,
mini
yeah.
plays.
Everything's, you know.
I didn't,
So
So
then
he
let's-
has a fund that he
Yeah.
can pull from to.
In the script.
Oh,
That's
right.
the most expensive part.
Right.
Yeah.
So are you thinking of after school, or were you making this elective?
Well, I would, no, I would do it as as he does it now. I don't know, he doesn't do it after school.
You're just
though.
looking to increase the funding
Yeah.
for the drama
He
program.
does.
Yeah.
Oh, he does it after school, even though sports start right at,
Well, that's-
full time.
We're going to work on that.
Okay, yeah, I
one.
love that, okay. So, yeah, so he has a pot to,
Similar to what we're doing for instrument funding, you're
yes,
saying. Right.
exactly.
So let's have you guys come back to us with if there's additional funding
Costs for-
for the drama program.
Yeah, I think
Similar
he
to
would,
what we're
I think
talking
he
about
would
with the
love
band.
that. I can't imagine what he.
well,
how-
that's what we need to
how does he get
expand
money?
at Tohoto, is
Right,
that kind of
expanding
stuff.
Performing arts, expanding.
Expanding that program so that, you
Let me
know,
look at the student
Instead of doing a
activities,
little
too,
play, they
and
can
make
do a
sure
bigger
there's not
play, more kids
something
can
there
get
that I'm not
involved.
aware of.
Yep.
'Cause I haven't had time to dive into everything.
No, I
So
sure,
let me-
sure.
Let me.
the thing is,
let me look
Tohoto
into
has
that,
the
too.
space for performing,
the other
so
piece
it's
here, too,
almost a no-brainer.
to
They
think
have
about.
that beautiful
And Nancy had
auditorium.
said too, that the great thing
West
about
now.
it too is it brings your culture to community together.
Well, yeah, then you,
Kids,
the
enjoy
kids, and then you,
going.
like, you bring
My
it to the
kids
elementary
love
school.
going to the
They
plays.
love going.
love
We
it.
never have, I didn't even know that was a thing here, so.
Yeah.
We used to have
Well-
a big program years ago, big, and it would take in the elementary schools.
Yes.
What was
So-
it called? Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. Budgetarily, bring it back to us for a second. With the departure of the assistant superintendent next year, have we accounted for how that's going to affect the budget, given curriculum directors and what the plan is for staffing your current role next year?
The assistant super, oh, say that again.
So
Yeah, I'm
your,
thinking principal.
your salary line
Yes,
is not
yeah,
going to exist
yeah.
next year. We don't have, unless there's an assistant
Yes.
superintendent.
Yes, we do.
That's going to get
It's not in here,
Jigger-
it's all shaken out. I already took care of it.
So the thing I would suggest, and it relates to this point about drama funding, I think there's an opportunity for us to look at bringing in someone to help with grant writing and even corporate donations. So the stuff you're talking about, like putting on a play, Julie,
yes.
Yeah.
is the kind of thing a local company would love to say, presented by Crest Technologies.
Sure.
Presented by
FedEx.
Sheffies. FedEx, right? But we need
Frito-Lay.
someone to look into those things. And I think the
Yes.
same person who would do grant research would potentially have the same skill set to do corporate research and say, hey, are there companies that are, maybe they have a relationship with the district, maybe they're local companies in Worcester or in Boylston and Berlin that we can, sponsored by Berlin Insurance, right? So I would like to have us think about centrally some kind of staffing line, not full-time, it could be outsourced kind of thing, right? Hourly type of freelancer coming in to help with that, to go and look for those kind of opportunities. 'Cause those are there.
I actually hadn't even thought of that. The grant writing would probably be beneficial. I could see that. The corporate, I put a corporate liaison, but I that was something I thought we could do, I wanted to do.
And ties in with the
Approach these.
internship program too.
Yeah, like with FedEx and some of these other companies that are here, that I would go and talk to these companies and introduce myself with the
Absolutely.
school committee, and, because they want to, I think when they're looking at schools, it's a little different if somebody to research that person could do that work, but then I would be able to go and make appointments
Let's
with
do
them.
that together because
Yeah.
there's a
Yes,
lot
the
of
face has to be,
opportunities.
the face has to be the
there.
leadership, but all the legwork.
So Walmart is an example. Walmart's local store managers have flexibility to grant up to $2,500 to any nonprofit they want, but you have to go and ask.
Yeah.
And so, there's other company, FedEx, so the same thing, there's a FedEx probably, because
Tons of
they
them.
try to control the local community,
Right.
people coming to them looking for money. We are at a level where we should be able to go in and ask for the max of what they're going to contribute. And hey, what's the opportunity for FedEx? Well, we'll make you the presenting sponsor of the spring drama
Yeah,
presentation. And it's
Right, that's a
presented
great
by
idea,
FedEx,
Adam.
Right?
But there's a list, we use it for BEF, there is a list of large corporations in America that it's not a question of if, maybe, let's review. They just give, like
Yep.
Adam said, a minimum amount or a maximum amount to each not-for-profit. You just have to know, and it's a ton of work, because essentially that is what BEF does. That's where we go. PTO is getting more fundraising, getting money from parents. BEF, we're looking for outside money. So I agree, it's a huge undertaking, and
It's a job in
outsourcing, I'm wondering if you can mold it into the assistant superintendent curriculum. I don't know what your
Someone needs to take on the grant writing role that she was.
right. I don't know if it's 2 roles. I don't know if
We're looking at that.
right.
the
And I think that's a
possibility.
huge discussion that kind of
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that might
Mm-hmm.
maybe if you have that person with an assistant or a direct report.
So I think back to drama again. I think there's you strengthen your ask by having you be the superintendent and school committee going to FedEx,
Absolutely.
asking for that contribution
Love it.
to support the fall drama, rather than having the band director do it or the students do it.
Yeah,
I agree.
Centralize some of those bigger asks.
because then you know that's going to be a sponsorship.
Right.
The hard thing is I've been trying to penetrate FedEx and Frito-Lay for BEF, and I have no idea how to do it. So research. You got to figure it out.
But it's also maybe being the superintendent of schools and saying,
Oh
hey,
yeah,
FedEx, I'm the
it's
superintendent of the
way
school
more
district.
influential.
I'd like a meeting with the
Yes, the
general
head of the
manager.
school
You'll bet.
versus I'm a parent volunteer from the
Right.
school.
Right.
So yeah, definitely.
Right.
And like I said, there's broader conversations you can have in that setting around the internship program, around co-ops, around other things
Absolutely.
like that we want to try to
Absolutely.
build into the improvement
Yeah.
plan too.
In Berlin, there's so much more
Last thing is the
to hunt over.
capital budget. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so in the capital budget, we built in 45,000 for IT, which includes a replacement plan for 90 Chromebooks and 25 new iPads and upgrade to the district phones. The LED sign for Berlin,
Oh, Mike's not marked down.
Oh my God.
repaving the walkway and playground for 20,000.
Okay.
And our big one is the flat roof portion is 22 years old.
This is at BES,
Berlin.
Berlin. Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Is removing the existing roof to existing deck and replace it with new roof system and edging.
What did you say Mike's not gonna like? The what?
I felt similarly when I watched the school committee meeting. Do we really need an $18,000 sign in front of the building?
Yes,
Why?
because the reality is that it is a big central hub of communication for that town.
Okay.
So John will be able to not just do school stuff, but all sorts of cool town stuff. And B, it's the hand sign where you go out and you change the letters. Is that where you have it?
No, there's no sign.
No, we don't have a
I
sign.
don't
This
know
is an
what to say.
LED sign.
No sign
We
in
have an
town,
LED. We have what we
So
don't.
no, there's a sign.
Boylston.
There's no sign.
No, no LED sign. We have
There's a
an.
hot dog? There's a sign.
So,
An LED sign?
I don't know if it's LED, it's a sign, it has lights.
Electrics. It
It's
is.
a light, yeah,
Electronic
same
sign.
sense, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It's just, it's a great way to communicate stuff.
so
Great way
let
to
me
communicate.
add that this was all,
Can't we just put a QR code and say scan the QR code and you can find the most recent information?
You can jump out of the car and scan the QR code every Tuesday.
Go to
Yeah, yeah.
BES.com, BES.org.
Go to the table.
this was actually already approved in the budget.
Yeah.
Back in FY20. It's
thought-
been, John's been going
Yeah,
To the zoning.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, this is-
Getting
yeah.
approval. I think he's getting very close.
Yeah.
So then he contacted me and said, getting close, I need the funding. And I'm like, yeah, your funding's been used. So it's going back in. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a great, if you have used a sign,
I have signs. I have lots of signs, Julie.
yeah,
Boylston has one.
They didn't cost 17 grand either. by
The
the way.
Lions
So what-
Club
but you
sign,
have-
which is what the whole town uses.
Right.
So here's the
but
thing
the town
though with
pays
those
for that.
signs, there's a lot of stipulations, right? So you have to have the right lights for light pollution, you have to have the right height, you have to have a whole bunch of, it's not like you're on,
Why wouldn't that be something that the town does?
It would be. This is the town capital
This is the
budget. So
town
this is
paying.
Berlin decided
Yeah,
to buy a
this is-
sign.
Oh,
This is capital budget to the town of Berlin.
capital.
Right.
All right.
Yes.
I'm 100%
So, whatever.
supportive.
But we're
I thought
asking
this
for
was
it
for
as
the
the school
district.
district. We're asking at Berlin Memorial through this capital item to put a sign
All
up for
right.
BMS. So
But
they're gonna
this
decide-
money would be coming from the town.
Absolutely. All the money comes from the
And I
town.
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
what John negotiate, but I'm assuming that he would be able to also put in there town-wide activities that are taking place. So it,
I think he
Yeah,
has
it's
spoken to the
win-win.
town about, yeah, it's a
Like
win-win.
baseball. I mean, because we do
Everything.
that. Baseball registration
This
now
sign sponsored
open,
by Berlin
soccer.
Insurance.
Yeah.
I don't
And
think
the
you
other
can
thing
do
I
that on
wanted
school.
to, just so you guys are aware,
Something to do- Yes, go ahead.
sorry,
Nancy.
the roof
Try
is a
to shut it.
two-part process, right? So what's put in here for FY '24 is the flat roof portion.
Yep.
Then the year after is the shingle roof portion, which is about 1.1 million.
So we're going to inform them of that.
We
No.
probably should give them heads up and let them know that that will be coming, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have
Wanted
an
to-
estimate on the
yeah.
BES roof? I know we're not airing that one yet, but
1.2.
on the roof. And how about on the HVAC?
So 1.2 to resurface it. 3 for a brand new roof.
What's the difference in terms of longevity and?
Dan, do you have a moment?
Yep.
Dan, help me with this.
see what's gonna happen if he's,
I know.
Hello.
Hi. We're talking about
It's expensive, right?
Boylston.
Yes.
And I was telling them about the 1.2 to just resurface it versus 3 million to redo it. And they were
Yes.
wondering what the.
What do we get for the extra
So
1.8?
basically, resurfacing it, we'll just be removing the top layer and redoing the EPMD roof, which is the rubber material. That will also include the library also. It's pricey doing the whole thing all over, but then you get kind of like almost the same amount of years. Just doing the resurface, you get about 15 to 20 years. With a new one, you get about 20 to 30 years.
Yeah, so I think given that that building might not be around in 20 years. maybe-
Yeah, so
Right.
I would say
Right.
take
That's
the
what he was
cheaper
thinking.
option,
Yeah,
just
I
to
agree.
resurface
So
it,
resurface
yeah.
it for 1.8.
Yeah.
Because you'll get 15 years and it'll make, yeah.
The rough estimate is 15 to 20, just resurface it. And
I had a
brand new is
gentleman
20.
who I was friends with, and he was in his 80s, and he had to get a new roof on his house. And the roofing company said, do you want a 20 or 25-year shingle? He said, do you have a 15? Because he was in his 80s. 20 years. He said, do you have a 15?
and 15
Where-
years from
Great,
now
that's
to
great.
20 years, none of us, well, you will all be here. But we'll have to
Majority.
see if there's a
Carol will be working. She's saying she's not going to be working here anymore.
13 more
20 years.
winters and I'll be in Florida, so, I mean, I've already counted it out.
Okay, so that's helpful to know what's coming.
Thanks, Dan.
Do you have other BES capital items we can just be aware of right now? I know we're not
So
putting it forward yet.
if you go back to the above level service requests.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All of those, honestly, are capital items.
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
But I felt like, how much can you put in? Because
Sure.
they're not, I don't think they're used to this.
Okay.
The towns,
Right?
yeah.
So I didn't, it's your decision. But I didn't
Mm-hmm. I like the
want-
way you did it.
You do, okay.
Okay.
You know where I was
Yep.
going.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
what's the capital items look like for BES in Tohoto? So we have an
Sure.
idea.
I didn't make copies, I apologize.
No,
So,
it's
yeah, and then IT is in Boylston
Yep.
for 49,000.
That's smart boards.
No.
Chromebooks.
105 Chromebooks, 25 new iPads,
Okay.
and the new phone system from the district offices, is spread out amongst all 3 schools. Tohoto, security, camera, and system, which includes the badges, for 200,000.
Okay.
Facility assessment, I put in for 50. I figured it's a bigger building, definitely going to cost more. IT replacement for 120 Chromebooks for middle school students in the district office phones. IT, 110,500. Replacement of 85 Chromebooks with student laptops for the seniors.
Okay.
Auditorium sound and light system. We're putting in right now as an assessment to see how to repair it and what needs to be done to repair it, because we really don't have the expertise in that.
Okay.
And then your debt and service principal for the loan.
Okay.
Yep.
And where's the HVAC for BES?
I put it in FY26. I did a 3-year capital plan. It's 400,000. If you want to move it up, you can move it up. But I mean,
So you have a 3-year, let me see that?
I did it, it's very rough and
Yeah.
it's just, I like to lay out everything that needs to be done. That's to my knowledge, so that's why I broke it out,
Yes, I want to move it up.
Do two.
If that was a question, I think it needs to be done this year.
Let's move the HVAC up to this year.
This year?
Yes. Yep.
Let them say no.
Yeah, let them say no to us.
If these numbers are going to force us to an override, I'd want to do that once. I don't want to do that twice, 3 times.
And I thought, I don't know, you said 400. I thought Jeff told us last year it was 300. He had someone come in and give us a quote. That was last March, but I could be wrong.
I don't know. Okay.
Well, even if it's 300.
Still,
Because
yeah,
then if
400
we
is still,
move
yeah.
that 400 up, the other
Okay, so
items,
just
the
to
other
say
2
the
years
400, yeah.
are more reasonable totals, right? You got almost 100 and something for year 2,
Year 2, 137.
and year 3 is,
Well, now I'll go way down.
right.
Yep. The only
Well,
other
his
thing in
skill
Boylston
add
that
things.
is a safety concern is the kitchen floor. There's a lot of, move that up too. Okay.
Because, like I said, when we go to talk to the finance committee and to the board about these items, if they are aware of additional revenue sources coming in year 2 or 3, then I think we're flexible to move those things back. But these are not, it's not like this need doesn't exist today, it exists today.
Yeah.
So this
Yep.
is what we need.
Yep. No, I think that's good.
Okay.
Move to adjourn?
So moved.
And just to
Second.
give you had lots of this
Thank you
information.
very much.